Hello again, everybody. Hey, just a half. So it is the 22nd today, which I did not know off the top of my head. And I've got a couple things to share. They're in the today command, which I'll show on screen here. But yeah, I'm back. I have a video that I reached out to an influencer and they made a video about Skeleton Seller. So you can check that out if you want to. But this is what I wanted to highlight on stream. So let's pull this up, which is what I even do during my time off. And I put a bunch of links here in case people care about any of this stuff. I made a new trailer for Skeleseller. Let me mute this. I made a new trailer. This one's a little bit longer. It's just more polished looking. It's more up to date. And is there anything else I did? Yeah, I changed the script a little bit. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's good. The way I look at the trailer is going to be one of the things that helps convert people. So like you land on the Steam page and then you potentially buy. And I'm just going to make up a number here. If the old trailer converted at like 20%, the new one's probably going to convert at like 23%. So it's probably not a huge difference, but it's still, now it's polished. It's looking better. Mitch, thanks for the resub. Hey, Phil. Hey, Chef Alton. Hey, Single Dev. What a treat for the day. I'm touched. I'm touched that my presence online can be a treat. I am looking forward to getting some stuff done, but I want to finish going through some of this stuff. Okay, so we made a new trailer. I updated the Steam and itch pages. I don't think this is going to be apparent if you didn't, memorize what the old one looked like. Here's the new trailer, but I updated some of the screenshots here. So now bosses show on the world map, and we got the cool portraits here. Same thing here with the portraits, and that's about it. I mean, that wasn't super important. I updated these as well. These are now very crisp looking on the Steam page. I think these are at 60 FPS, so like they look pretty smooth. And on the itch page, it was a little bit more difficult because they're animated pings. They're not even videos or GIFs. And you see some little like artifacting going on here, and it's unfortunate that that's happening, but yeah. Anyway, what else do we have here? I made 4 YouTube videos. I've got links here. I finished the 5th music track. We can eventually play that on stream. And what else? Yeah, I did some other little marketing things. Hey, Snowies. Looking forward to interrupting your productivity today. JK, I actually have work to get done today. I mean, it's it's not like you're ever really interrupting to begin with. It's just chiming in for things. So yeah, that's what I did. And I look back at it and I think I sort of feel like I could have done more during that time. Like I did kind of drag my feet a little bit. The 12th was the last day that I streamed. So it was from the 13th to the 21st that I got that stuff done. And like, I don't know, I'm not unhappy with it, but I'm not like, oh my God, that was the greatest, or I really pushed things forward. So yeah, now we just have these things left here. And by the way, we are moving forward on the localization of everything. German is done. Spanish is well on its way. Portuguese got kicked off. Italian's still underway. And what else was I going to show? Oh yeah, the wish list stuff and everything. And then we can get to work. So wish lists over the last, like, let's say 2 weeks. It's not crazy. We had 476 additions and 45 subtractions, so we had 431 total. You can see the chart. It's not like, maybe this is trending upward. I'm not totally sure, because it might just drop again after this. Like it looks like it's trending upward, but yeah. So things are moving. It's not like fantastic or anything. And in terms of people playing, there are 3 people playing right now. Oh wait, let's click today. Yeah, 7 people claim the game. 3 people are playing right now. So yeah, I mean, stats are okay. It's not even translated in English yet. It's just some weird UI thing that's happening there. Like American English, I think, is separated from just English as a category. All right, so I made a bunch of work I can do on stream. So let's go tackle that stuff and just get done with whatever we can from here. Let's start by, I made a bunch of code changes for the sake of the trailer. So like crops grow faster and items never time out. And I think we should delete everything here, because I'm pretty sure all this is just debug stuff for testing. Yeah, like this is kind of funny. So we keep track of how many items have been eaten by the garbage slime, and we crit on the 3rd one, because for the video I wanted to feed it once, feed it twice, and then, oh my God, a critical eat. So that was scripted. These are the kinds of things you have to do to make sure you're not just like re-recording 14 times trying to get that to happen. All right, so now we can switch branches here. So make sure the challenges have the player go through most of the map. Maybe that means making the cost rise faster and faster. Could also consider requiring the player to beat the final boss. I don't know about this stuff. All right, let's just launch the game. By the way, the game should get approved on Steam pretty soon, I think, or potentially rejected with a reason. We have plenty of time to fix whatever reasons they might have for rejecting it. But yeah, I just submitted like this build. All right. Hey, Blair, thank you very much. Thanks for the resub. Thanks for the money. Good to see you again. Hope things have been going well. Items disappear faster, enemies do more damage, and dud perks can appear. This is not super punishing. I don't remember how many upgrade points you have getting here, though. Let's see, you would have beaten 10 challenges, so you'd have 150. So you could do something like... Oh, you could do that. You could just get more starting workers. Oh, it's probably good to get some starting customers, too, right? So like this, and then we have 20 more we can spend. What are the downsides? Items disappear faster, enemies do more damage. I mean, starting with an adventure is probably good. Yeah. All right. I want to see what this feels like. Hey, Pecker. Hey, Suyash. Am I winning the game dev? I'm winning the game dev. I don't think I'm winning the game dev, but how are you winning it? I'd love to hear that. Oh, let's turn this up. Why do I not hear anything? Oh, my speakers are really low. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna go through this a little bit quickly because I just kind of want to see what does it feel like to start this. There we go. All right, they're going to take their sweet time. Oh, right. Enemies do more damage. I'm still winning all the fights, I think. Except for maybe this one. This is going to take forever to win. It's been very productive, doing a bunch of very boring stuff that improves the game a lot. That's winning. That's definitely winning, yes. All right, well, let's build something here. I don't even know what. Oh, yeah, let's get that. I didn't do that in time. Whoa, lots of items. All right, we need more customers, I guess. I have nothing I can do with that stuff. Hey, Maya. We have data structures with C++ now. How are you liking it? Hey, Agamara. How long have you been developing this game? It's been almost 2 years. I started on April 17th, 2024. Look at all those. Look at all those characters. Oh, wait. We didn't even really need another skeleton. Oh, and the items disappear faster is actually kind of punishing. Because we can't do anything with these items now. I guess I should probably get customers to move faster. Wow. A warehouse. Great. Hey, Zockton. Live indeed. Yeah, I want to come back to streaming regularly, even if it's not the exact same schedule that I used to have. I appreciated having the time off to be able to focus on other things. And the other things were mostly Skeleseller stuff, but it wasn't entirely Skeleseller stuff. All right, so we're still getting a bunch of items. What is the goal for this? 7,500. I think we need to raise this a bit. All difficulty data. Yeah, I only got 500 more than 1,000 more. I think I wanted to increase this to like 10,000. 12,000 and 14,000, or maybe like 15,000. I don't know. Hey, Lammy. Enjoy programming while it's fun. It almost sounds threatening. Oh, we're doing that for sure. And we're giving you this. I don't even have the farm yet. And I'm not really getting a lot of bows. We could turn this on for a little bit. Actually, yeah, just a little bit. Huh. Okay, that's pretty good. Actually, all of these are good. I do like bone mode. I think it's fun. Okay, that's important. We need a cloak for you. I can just give it to you. It's one of the best features I added. All right, they're buying stuff. Got references and pointers of tutoring things? Are they? I mean, I guess it depends on the context, but a pointer is a reference to something. Oh, right. You start with a quick move menu. I just have it not showing. All right, I'm not going to do too much testing with this. I really should play through this on my own, but I don't think now's the time to do this. So maybe we just save. Turn the title screen. Giving customers something directly is great. I'm here after a long time, so I lost context. I mean, there's not like too much context. It's all just getting ready to complete the game. All right, I'm happy enough with that. You get less loot from battles. Customers no longer tip. Oh, that's actually pretty big. Treasure chest cost more. This one probably hardly matters. And the costing more thing. Treasure chest. It goes up by 5 gold every time. Sure. That doesn't actually make it sound like they cost more. I mean, let's make it 55 at first. Oh, hey, the stream streak still works. Okay, interesting. Soon it'll be AWS microservices and pointless code reviews. Soon it'll be AI inundating you with a bunch of slop. Isn't C has a pointer which contains a memory address, and C++ is reference, just a different way of doing. Oh! I see what you're talking about. Yeah. You're talking about like the ampersand thing. Yeah. Sorry. I know exactly what you mean. Yes, those are different. And they even have the names that you said. So yeah, my bad. Hey, Molback. It's going pretty well. I think Kevin raised an issue on the Discord for translations, and I haven't looked through a lot of this stuff myself, but there are some checks that are probably pretty important that I think were... Oh, this says 100% now. Okay, you probably already saw this then. Yeah. All right, well, cool. Yeah, and congrats on getting to 100%. Went through them. Yep, awesome. I really appreciate it. Okay, so they're going through most of the map bit. Make sure the cost rise faster and faster. Did I do that part? What's the final one of these? Items sell for less? Jeez. Town perks cost more. Enemies can dodge attacks. Okay, this is kind of crazy. I don't know if that's going to be fun, but we'll have to see. Okay, so what was I going to look at? Perks cost more. Where is perks cost more? There's battle perks cost more. Ah, here it is. Increase everything. Okay, so what do we have? Building costs without the constraints. It's a little bit more. Adventure cost without is a little bit more. This isn't even drastically more. It's like 10 gold more per level. That's hardly anything. And then town perk cost. What is this? Town perk base cost increase 6. Ooh, I don't know about that. No, I don't know about that at all. Well, I guess technically it makes every single perk cost 6 gold more, but I kind of wanted to make it go up by 1 gold each time. I don't know. Let's just leave it as is for now. I think this is probably fine. So let's just slightly tweak bone mode parameters. Yeah, it's not worth saying anything else about that. And then consider also requiring the player to beat the final boss, since it could be more about favoring adventures. I don't know if that would be fun. I don't know how the... Actually, I think that could be fun. I think this is something we should probably do toward the end. We should make it so that the final bone mode scenario requires you to beat the final boss rather than get a certain amount of gold. Yeah. I think this would be a fun little change. It should show that in the challenge details and in a banner at the beginning. Hey, Harry. Okay, well, I think this is pretty much done for now. Yeah. So we should go merge this. And then at some point I should push a new version. I'll write this for Friday, push a new playtest version, share a save file with playtesters, asking them to try the final bone mode scenarios. Also, maybe ask people to see how long it takes for the final scenario to beat the snake boss. How's our game going along? Our game. So, full disclosure, Pige helped with the trailer. He was sitting there in his bed, relaxing, playing a video game. And I was like, Pige, I need you to do work right now. He's like, yes, sir. Ready, sir. And he got out of bed and he went and wrote up some notes and changed some wording. And then he excitedly shared on stream all the wordings he helped change. It was very valuable. I think it was really good. So I appreciate it greatly. I gave Pige some points. Getting someone else to look over an outline is so much easier than getting someone to look over a full video because it's less work to change. Hey, Maple. Really be typing in a lot to have a keybinder macro. Yeah, I have it for a lot of things I don't type very often. Like I have 'T for technology. I don't really type technology all that often. Or like infrastructure or organization or something like that. So yeah, I do type bone mode a decent amount. Yeah, thank you, Pige. Let's all thank Pige for a second. Let's all share how great Pige is. All right, let's go merge this. So what do we do here? It's mostly this commit, whatever this is, improve bone mode. Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. Finish bone mode. Maybe we should write this in quotes. There are still some tiny tweaks left to do. But now, instead of having 20 scenarios, I got to clean my keyboard. There are 13. 10 normal ones and 3 challenges. I'll do that in parentheses so it's not unclear what that is. It's just 50% of the profit when Skeleseller comes out. Pige kept telling me on his stream, he's like, yeah, Adam, I'm happy to help out for a cost. Yeah, happy to do this if you share the profits. The man won't just let me be. Yeah, push a new playtest version. Cool. Okay, so we're done with this. This has been merged. Nice. You know, Pige, actually, there is something I wanted to respond to quickly. I think you said something like, oh, Adam made Botland for himself, and now Skeleseller is more for everyone, something like that. Actually, I liked the idea of Botland as an RPG. You know, a lot of my inspiration for games comes from RPGs that I liked. So weirdly enough, Final Fantasy 1 led to Skeleseller, and Diablo 2 led to Botland. And my thinking was basically like, some people have bots, and it doesn't ruin the game. I guess it gives them an unfair advantage. So like, what if everyone had bots? And what if the game were meant to be played that way? And unfortunately, when the game is meant to be played that way, it means that it kind of just becomes a time component or a strategy component. So the game ended up warping from an RPG, but that's what it started as. And I still like the idea of that, but I think in practice, and I think this is the problem with a lot of games, you really have to consider the monetization of games. So let's say you do have like an automated RPG. You're probably going to have server costs, so you probably need your monetization to factor in those server costs. So they need to be ongoing payments. And you don't want people completing the game within like 3 hours or something. So you can't just focus on making a fun multiplayer automated game. You have to make a monetizable automated game. So that if I ever found something like this on the market, I'd probably be like, oh, it's going to be a cash grab. And yeah, I don't know. I wonder how much AI is going to change this stuff. Like, will we eventually get to the point where someone can vibe code a whole game and then these experiences will exist? And if they cost a lot to host, then so what? Like, that'll be the only cost of the game. Both equally evil in different ways. Diablo 1 started out as turn-based. It tested real time. Yeah, I think I read about that. Yeah, in the Botland Battle Pass. Soon, TM. All right, well, Weblate updates. Update Weblate strings for unlock the next scenario. It just says unlock the next scenario by completing this one. Hey, Joss, and thank you. I think I want to save this for after the stream, so I'm messing anything up. Yeah, it's not that we can't do it on stream, it's that I'm worried about it. So let's just put that there for now. Okay, what's the next one? Selective loot says rare items receive only half the value. Oh yeah. This is bad. But I don't know how I did this. What did I even call this? I don't know what I called it. All right, well, let's just search for selective loot like that. What is this called? Select Adventurer. Okay. Yeah, so rare items only receive half the extra value. This was a mistake. I don't know what this is even supposed to be. Select Adventurer. Yeah, let's look at the history of this. When did I first create it? Because whenever I created it, that's probably when I had the right text. Man, sometimes I hate how you have to look through this stuff. Like, I just want to see that one file. I know you can do this. You can do this for each treasure stand. Yeah, that's what I was supposed to say. That's a shame. Hey, BC. That's a shame. You know, I used to not be bothered by making string changes, but now I'm like, well, this is going to affect like 4 other languages. Yeah, I'm going to make sure to do this afternoon, I guess. Make sure to update Weblate. I guess I should save off whatever string that has now. Oh, I feel stupid. Yeah, here it is. And if we click other languages. Yeah, oh no. Okay, so before doing anything, save the translations for this string. I guess we can just copy it like that. I understand what you just said because of my 2 boot dev courses. Yeah, well, the concept of what I said for anyone who doesn't know is, you know, let's say you have something in your game where it says, hello, friend. So in English, you could change this to whatever. You could say, hello, adventurer, and that's it. You don't need to think about anything else. But since we're translating these other languages, I can't just change the text. I have to then also tell translators, hey, this text changed, and then get it changed in every language. Now, in this particular case, maybe I could try using an LLM at first, but maybe use an LLM to fill in the new translations. Changing a translated string in the middle of everything. Yeah, hey, Fairmont. The other problem that we have, and this is what I'm definitely not going to do for my next game, but I mentioned this before. I used English text as the ID of the string. So that hello friend turning into something else, you know, whatever, XYZ in another language. If you change this to hello adventure, the UI is like, oh, this doesn't exist in the other language. I knew about hello friend. I don't know about hello adventurer. And it's like, okay, well, type in a new string then. So that's also really unfortunate because by changing this, it's going to delete all the entries that are there right now. So like all these will be gone. And yeah, that's a problem. This is why I'm not going to do that for my next game. And hey, Bragan. Any tips for new game developers? Yeah, I think like isolate what you want to work on. So there's game design, game dev, art, music, whatever else. Like try to just focus on one of these things at a time if you can. And I don't necessarily mean like go start a game that takes 2 years and do all the design, then all the game dev, then all the art. I mean like take on a project that's a week or 2 long and maybe just focus on art for that project, or maybe just focus on the game design or something. Hey, Fressel, who is this and why am I following you, stranger? Yeah, I feel bad that I wasn't here for a while. If anyone's curious what happened, by the way, I have a document explaining what I worked on. I've got a bunch of links there. And if you have to take cursor, focus, control for your task to be completed, you're doing it wrong and you're evil. One of the apps I have to use regularly for my job does this. Yeah. I find it annoying even when Godot starts up and it takes the focus. And I think that's just a Mac thing in this case. I'm not actually sure. The skills can't be taught. You're born with it. You know, honestly, Pige, while I think you can teach the skills, I think some people are just better at thinking about that stuff. And you know, the way I kind of look at this is a game is really like 100,000 details combined. And the trailer is like one such detail. And some people will think like, okay, I'm going to stop and look at this. Some people will look at the game balance and be like, okay, this is the wrong pacing or this is too strong. Some people are going to look at the art and be like, oh, that's off by a pixel, or the UI needs more margin here. And it does take, I think, a pretty exceptional person to have skills in all of those areas to be able to improve them. Like, we all have blind spots. When it adds the item, it steals mouse or cursor control. Yeah. Is the software still being developed? Could you like submit that as an issue report or something? I don't, and there will be tension now for at least 3 months. Well, I also kind of mentioned this, which is that the schedule is going to be different, and I don't know how yet. So don't expect me to return to the original schedule just yet. But I do think we're at a point where development tasks are pretty important. All right, so let's go check out a new branch. Get checkout dash B. I don't know. More to do items 4. That sounds like a great name. All right, so fix incorrect note in for selective loot. This was likely a copy paste error, and now it's already been translated to at least 2 other languages. Well, I should use a less guilt-inducing emote there. Yeah, one of the things I do want to call out in the today command is a video that Cheesecake Cactus made. It's, from everyone's point of view in chat, probably just another Skeleseller video, but I do like sharing these things and getting them some more views, because then they're more likely to continue making Skeleseller videos. So if you want to watch something over lunchtime, like, that's a pretty good video to watch. Hey, Kaiser. Okay, so what's next? Put the 5th music track in the game. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play this. It's technically online. It's in that thing. Nope. Let me mute myself. So actually, you know what? let me mute myself, and I'll play this 5th soundtrack for you to all listen to. I finished this like a week ago or something. Did you make this yourself? Yeah, I did. I spent a long time. And thanks, Oppressal. Okay, so I am going to export this to a WAV file. I think FL Studio messes this up somehow and that it doesn't trim the result. But yeah, a lot of work went into that. A lot of work. And I spent probably, this is probably not something I should be advertising, but I spent an embarrassing amount of time trying to figure out one tiny issue that I had. There was an instrument that I was using that was not controlled by velocity. Its volume wouldn't change. And here's how you have to change that in the synthesizer. You click advanced, and then of all these knobs and all these buttons and all the different things you can click, you have to click the wrench over here and you'll find some values, and these are what you need to change. And I did not realize that was a thing. So I struggled for an incredibly long time, and I'm like, how do I get the volume of this to change? And I did a bunch of other little stupid things, and anyway, that took a very long time. So all we're going to do here is just export as wave, and sure, save. So it says total time 139. Keep that in mind, because it's not going to be 139 by the end of this. And I don't know why it's not going to be. Did you track your hours? No. Tail cut remainder. Yeah, but what's weird is it says total time is 139 with leave remainder. Why doesn't it end up being 139? So now I created this thing. And hey, Orange Ray, thanks for the resub. Happy almost 4 years. I appreciate it. Yeah, it says duration 209. I mean, we can do what Apressel said. We can do... I'll save it as cut. And we'll click cut remainder. Oh, this doesn't actually change the time? Okay, well, whatever. In fact, I don't know how long was the one I played in the browser? 139. Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty good, because it technically, it fades out so that there's still something playing at the 139 mark. Only complaint says it's too short. Yeah, I actually think that's kind of a problem with the music I've been making. I should probably expand it a bit more. It takes me so long to make these, though, that I'm not sure. Plus, I think Skeleseller is a game that is kind of all over the place in terms of what you're focusing on at any given time, so that the shorter music tracks probably make sense. Oh, yeah, now it says 139. Thank you, Apressel. Yeah. I thought that export dialog would keep the time synchronized with the selection you have chosen. So as an example here, if I'm using like GIFSKI or something, there's a quality bar and you can set it from 1 to 100. And as you do that, it says estimated file size and tells you like, oh, this is going to be 4 megabytes, or oh, it's going to be 100 megabytes or something like that. So I thought it would do the same thing here. 1 point. Sure, Pressel. I see we've resorted to begging in chat. Hey, TJ. All right, so let's listen to the end of this. I'm not going to listen to the whole thing. I just want to hear how it ends. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay. It's like sufficiently faded out. Unless you're listening in headphones, you probably won't even hear it. You can just ask for points. Well, I mean, he did help. All right, so now we put this inside the game. Game, assets, audio, music, town theme 5. Now I click this. And then we get the town music, what is it called? Music system? Music system. We get music system to have the 5th town track. And that's it. I think we should be done. So what I want to do now is I want to hear, what does it sound like when the 4th track plays into the 5th track? Is there an easy way for me to do that? Play next track. Here it is. Current track plus plus. Okay, so I want to start the current track at 4. I don't actually know what I want to start this at. I mean, I guess we can just try it and see what happens. Current track equals music ID.count. Okay, so I see. So we want to set it. So by setting it to 4, we're actually setting it to 0. So we want to set it to 2, so that we're setting it to 3. Yeah. I think that makes sense. All right, let's try it. Don't know what number it is. Probably 2. I think a lot of people like 2. That didn't work. What happened here? Oh, because ready overrides it, so that this is pointless. I need to set it in here. Current track equals 2. So what we're testing here, and unfortunately we need to listen to the whole thing to test this because I don't have any other way of doing this right now. What we're testing is, does the leveling and does the theme kind of fit between these two things? So do we have the right track? No. I'm off by 1 again. Should be 3, I guess. All right, thanks, Fairormond. Yeah. Hope you enjoy the videos. Okay, yeah. So here's the 4th track. I'll turn this way up. And we're going to just act like we're playing the game. And I'm not listening to this track. But, again, just kind of keep in mind the general feel of this track. And it's going to eventually transition into the next track. And that's what I want to see, like, does it fit? How does it feel? Is it the right volume? This is almost too chipper, I think. Do you have plans of mastering these? Not more than I've already done. But probably just because it's a blind spot, really. Yeah, I think it's worth learning how to do that. I wonder if I'll have the time. I like this part of the track. All right, thank you, Oppressal. I'll write that down. Okay, so track 4 complete. It's going to wait 10 seconds now, and then it's going to start track 5. I'm going to try to hear how's the volume, how's the instrumentation. I think it's quieter. Yeah. Take care, Pressel. Thanks for dropping by. But it does feel like it fits. But yeah, volume-wise, it seems quieter. Okay, well, we have a couple of knobs we can tweak for this. First, let's copy-paste this over to here. I should have measured this. Yeah, I should have measured this. Sound Music 4 has a volume set of 1. So we just load them both up in Audacity. Wonder if we can measure this. I mean, I can see the bar on the side. Hey, Cruddlefish. Okay, let's turn that off for a sec. I want the exact like average decibel amount for these large chunks that we have here like this. How do we do that? Analyze. What does this even mean? I don't know what this means. Measuring RMS volume differences between two selections of audio. Oh, that's maybe what I want. I don't know what RMS volume means. Root mean square. Average power loudness. Oh, that's exactly what I want. So what do I do? That seems like the right thing. So negative 23. And then if I select a random portion over here and do the same thing. Negative 24. It's not significantly different. It feels different though. What if I just select like the main chunk of all of this? Negative 23.32. And if I select the main chunk of this. So we want to boost it by like 1.5. I mean, I don't know. We're going to do that. Maybe just set this to 1.1. dB's nonlinear, so 1 dB increment is quite a bump. It's so this is the volume that I'm modifying, which I think is the sort of human perceived volume, which then converts back to logarithmic. But that's why we're just going to run this and see how it sounds. This could probably still stand to be louder. I'll leave it at that for now. Yeah, I'll write myself a note. At some point, I should play through the new Bone Mode scenarios and also listen to the new music track while playing. Yeah. So whatever, it's been added to the game now. Do I have this in one of the issues here? Make battle. I mean, this is probably never happening. In fact, I should just close this, shouldn't I? Notes from May 8th when I was streaming. God, that was almost a year ago. I remember this. I remember thinking this sounded like Chopin's Hades Prelude. That sheet music is nuts, by the way. I mean, I can't find it quickly here, but yeah, I'm gonna close this. I don't think this is going to happen at this point. All right, so we don't have an issue about this. That's fine. Let's go check in everything I've just done. Oh, the shelving thing. I forgot to include that. Add missing UID file. Okay, add fifth music track. I only listened once in game. So I'll have to keep playtesting to see if the leveling is correct. Yeah. But I think if it's, I'm pretty happy with it. Whoops. I should probably publish that before I forget. Okay. So done. Building sounds play when entering Bone Mode. Need to figure out why. This may rely on having the pre-built town upgrade. Okay, let's go try this out. I wonder if it's a new game or continuing a game. I don't remember the context from this. So click new. Just whatever. Nothing. Okay, let's try an older scenario. Aha. Okay, that definitely played a sound. So new farming scenario. And let's turn this down. Okay, so where do we play that sound? Town. Oh, probably from leveling up. Farm. Play sound. Harvest crop. So it's not there. Create farm. What happened here? Huh, strange. Is there a play sound thing over here? If show creation effects. Okay, so somehow this is getting created with true and should just be false. It's this. Oh, come on. Town, challenge mode, functions, scenario. There should be like a farm scenario thing. What did I call it? Farm specialty? I don't remember what I called it. Is it a all difficulty data? It's probably in here somewhere, right? Farming. Here it is. Farming challenge. What do you control? Force grant perk building ID farm. Okay, yeah, this is what's doing it. Just calls create perk choice. Perk was chosen. Perk was chosen calls into this. Grant effect from perk. This is going to get overridden to do that function. Yep, here it is. All right, so that's a problem. And technically this happens for like 7 different scenarios. What do we want to do to fix this problem? So one way of doing this would be to pass in an argument that says don't play a sound. Yeah. So option 1 is pass a Boolean saying whether to play the sound or not. Option 2 would be keep track of the state we're in and know not to play sound. I mean, I think it's option 1 that we're going to go with. So I guess let's just go plug in false here. Except for put that in the right spot. And then take in a Boolean of like, yeah, was chosen manually. Wait a second, isn't force grant always chosen for you? Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah, so this is stupid. So we can delete this and this and change this here. In fact, there's even a false here. What does that represent? Oh, was chosen manually. Well, would you look at that? So we can just put that there. Bool was chosen manually. I gotta clean this keyboard. All right, so change all of these. And I don't know what we're going to use these for yet. That's fine. That's not fine. Okay, good. So now what makes a sound? The building one does at least. Create building based on ID was chosen manually. Bool was chosen manually. So if it was chosen manually, we're going to do that. Is that correct? Show creation effects? Yeah, I think that's right. So that should fix the sound problem. It would also fix any smoke getting created, which I don't know if that was a problem. Oh, wait, we need sound for me to test whether a sound is playing. New game. Farming. All right, the smoke. Whoa. The smoke still plays for sure. And that's, though, because of leveling up, I think. Oh, man. So we grant at max level. Okay, how does that work? Force grant ability, force grant abilities, force grant perk. Perk was chosen. Choose perk. Grant effect. Town perk. We just call add ability. Then the farm listens for this and renders smoke, I think. Player ability changed. Yeah, here it is. Set farm level true. And true is show smoke. Well, okay, let's say you're not looking over there. Is it noticeable? I mean, yeah, you'll see smoke there. That's fine. Yeah, I don't think it's noticeable. Like, there's no obvious lag or like a jitter or something like that. So I think we're good. Let's try loading the other scenarios. Let's also turn off the music. New game. So we're going to go to any other ones that had challenge constraints that called the same function, which would be enchanting, fishing, garbage, pirate, storage. Yeah, okay, there's a lot of them. All right, so let's go to any of those. Pirate, sure. Yeah, no sound. That's fine. Let's just try like 2 more. Fishing. Yep. And let's try enchanting. Yeah, cool. Okay. I mean, this was pretty easy to fix. Fix bug with building sounds playing. All you had to do was start a new bone mode run for any scenario that would create a building. It will no longer play a sound when you enter the scenario. Good. Okay, when toggling the extractor or key grinder, show floating text saying it was toggled. Yeah, this is something that I see enough people accidentally do and then not realize that they've done and then never recover from. So the fix is really simple. Although because it's going to involve a new string, it's going to require translations. But yeah, let's click new game over here. All we need to do is build the farm and then get this perk. So, and I'll save, I'll zoom in and then save. Let's click those, save. Okay, so when you click this, it makes a sound and it visibly toggles the lever. But a lot of people are just kind of clicking and like accidentally click that and then move on, and they don't hear the sound. They don't notice that they click the lever. So if we spawn some text here saying like lever toggled, I think it'll be clearer that you did something. And then you might be like, what? And then hover over the lever and be like, oh, okay. So that's what we want to do. So it should be simple to do this. Does this have access to the town? It does. And we only want to do this when the player clicked to do this. So how do we know that the player clicked to do this? Left click release is on equals not is on. All right, well, we're going to call this toggle lever manually. Private void toggle lever manually. Cool. And then town dot floating text. All right, how's this work? Text position color scenario. Okay, so text lever toggled. Position is probably just the position of this thing. Color is going to be, I don't know, white. And scenario is going to be UI message. Colors doesn't exist. Does that work? And then we just got to translate this. And probably add context here. Yeah, so that's it. And the same thing should happen over here. Yeah. Although I do want this to start by spawning like global position plus vector 2 dot up times, I don't know, 20. Yeah, this just needs to be some number to offset this a bit. And then here we type tr loading text. Yeah, there, that's it. Hey, Katie, how you doing? So when I do this later in the afternoon, we've got to make sure, oh, whoops. Make sure lever toggled has a screenshot. Okay, let's try it again. So now it should spawn higher up. Yeah, it's a little too high. And it's always in world coordinates, so it looks like we should drop it by like 10 pixels, maybe? Pretty much just the height of the lever. In fact, let's set it to 9. Enjoyed your AI video. Very balanced take. Nice to see in a sea of AI is going to take our jobs in 2 months. Yeah, thanks for watching, Goose. I tried to be like level-headed about my take. And it's funny too because I got a comment or two saying like, "Oh, you didn't comment on this," and it just wasn't on my radar to comment on that. And some of my opinions were very short because I didn't know what level of detail people would want exactly. Hey, Mohit Kumar, do you use any kind of window management tool in Mac, like Aerospace? Yeah, I use Rectangle. Also, sorry for not seeing your message sooner. Yeah, I did not promote that video at all. Like, I didn't post it anywhere other than my own Discord. So, like, not on Reddit or Hacker News or something like that. And I think that's the right move. It's one of the only times I think I've ever said, like, this is a stance I'm taking on a controversial issue. Like, I've taken stances on things before that are kind of meaningless, right? Like, I like VS Code or something like that. It's like, no one's going to fight you over this. If you said I like Vim or Emacs, people will fight you. No, but for real, like I've tried to avoid those sorts of things. And I kind of realize what happens when you do that on the internet. You either form an echo chamber or you get sort of brigaded by people of the opposite crowd. And I don't think it really results in people seeing eye to eye. So I'm trying to be very patient in the comments too. Hey, Couch. Hey, Oscar. Is it difficult to find a job right now with a CS degree in the US? It's hard for me to say exactly. I have friends or like extended family who have been looking for jobs and they end up finding jobs. It's hard to say, like, was it easier now than it was years ago or vice versa? I don't know. I imagine that if you're a junior developer, it's probably harder. If you're a senior developer, it's probably about the same right now. But that's my very, very quick, like, somewhat uninformed take. So take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, so okay, am I keeping this? I almost wonder if this should be in gray. I think it's got to be visible, though. Yeah, and I'll leave it to the player to hover over that afterward. Okay, so spawn floating text when toggling the lever. This should make it clearer to new players that they've even changed something. Hovering over the lever will then tell them how it works. Now, in this case, the lever only has two positions, on or off. But in the future, if we ever had a third one, you can't just say lever toggled. But yeah, whatever. This is the problem with translating strings, right? All right, so that's done. I like the subject regarding ethics in AI. It was a good watch, to be honest. Well, thanks for watching it. Yeah. And like I said, they're my opinions. I think if I were trying to convince people to do something, or if I were saying like, here are the solutions to this problem, if there are even problems, that I think I need to put in more effort. But in this case, it was just like clarify kind of how I'm thinking about this. This is kind of interesting. I like this idea, but I think it also kind of breaks bone mode. But I think it's probably fun to break bone mode. I mean, technically, this is not hard to do. The question is, should I do it? And the more I think about it, the more I think, yes, I should, especially if you're supposed to get to a certain amount of items in the game. I don't like the idea of you starting a run and realizing, wow, this would have been a really important upgrade to get before I even started. I almost wonder if it should just show up mid-run. Or I wonder, maybe what happens is you get a meta perk that allows the town perk to show up mid-run. When you always choose it, though? When is it the wrong choice? Oh, man. All right. I don't know. And I already put some time into this, so let's just talk about this problem. There's no way to get item stacking in bone mode right now. So as you progress through the map, you will get way more items than you can possibly handle. Excuse me. So option 1 is just prevent that many items from dropping. I don't think this is reasonable. Well, I don't really think this is reasonable, because then you'll probably hit your saturation point earlier in the map and have no real reason to progress. That's not true though, right? You could just increase the item values. Anyway, that's option 1. Option 2 is make a meta perk that grants item stacking at the beginning of the run. Option 3 is make a meta perk that allows for item stacking to show during a run. Huge day for the unemployed. Because I'm back. Or is this something else? Honestly, option 1 doesn't sound too bad. Oh, the 3-day streak. Got it. Because a 3-day streak could happen at any time. You just need 3 streams. Okay, so here's something to consider. If we don't have item stacking at all, you wouldn't feel as much of a sense of progress. Hey, okay. If we do have it, though, it's such an impactful upgrade that either you're sacrificing other impactful upgrades because you feel that you need this, or it shows as a choice during a run and you feel like you have to pick it. It's just so massive of an impact to go from having 1 item per stand, per worker, per customer, to doubling all of that. You go from 1 to 2. We could lessen it by saying you go from 2 to 3, but I think that's kind of weird. But even then, it's still a 50% upgrade. That's still huge. The only way to make it a smaller percentage is to go from like 5 to 6 or something, and we don't even have that in the game. Hey, Ramy. I appreciate the joke. Oh, also no sound. Hi and bye. I appreciate the joke. Option 4, I guess, would be allow for this to show, or like make this a regular unlock. After like 6 runs, you can now start finding item stacking. Maybe it's rare. Kind of like that idea. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. We already even have the ability to do this incredibly easily. I work in a niche branch, SAP Consulting, and the way some people there use AI makes, okay, not going to read the rest of that sentence. The amount of times I had to tell some people, know what the AI is saying or what you're asking is stupid, is unreal. It's like telling you what I already figured out in my Google search. Okay, so here's a thought. What will AI do to our critical thinking skills? And yeah, how much has it already changed things? So I've been reading Hacker News, and one of the things at the top of Hacker News today is, hang on, I'm trying to pull this up, is this: we will ban you and ridicule you in public if you waste our time on reports. This is for Curl. It's now in their like official, it's like, this is their site. This is in their security.txt. I guess they've just been getting so many issues that are just AI slop that they're just like, look, we can't manage this. What are we going to do? And I know that doesn't necessarily have to do with critical thinking, but it's kind of related. People are filing these issues, possibly in good faith, but possibly to pad their resume or to say, I contributed to Curl, a tool that everybody uses every single day. And yeah, I don't know. So I do wonder, hey, this stuff that Couch is talking about, like, how much of it is just, well, it's not my job anymore. I see people on Reddit saying I've forgotten how to code already. Huh, it's kind of interesting. I feel like that's too fast for that to have happened. I mean, I guess some people might have been using just AI for like the last year, but I think they need to write some connective code in there somewhere. A big thing. There's a concept like APIs, and I've done it for like 5 years, so I know what does exist and what doesn't. It's primed for AI to hallucinate some random name that just doesn't exist. Yeah, I think those are more like reasonable issues to handle. So I guess I look at it this way. At a high level, and this is just factual, this is not like a thing people can argue with. It's either like you interface with an AI or someone else interfaces with an AI and then interfaces with you, or like no one interfaces with AI. So it's either it happens or it doesn't, and it's either you or it's somebody else. And in this case, it's like you'd expect the human who's interfacing with you to do some filtering on, is this high enough quality? If you're interfacing with an AI and it's like, hey, here's an API you can call, and you're like, that doesn't exist. Okay, fine, whatever. That's just the thing you accept for AI. But yeah, you would expect someone else to have done that for you if they're going to then pass it off as their work or something. I just type the problem and it gives the code. Maya, given that you're a university student, I think it's very risky what you're doing in terms of your education. I just mean it from the point of view of, I'm pretty sure you told me, I hope I'm not mistaken this, but I think you were telling me that last semester you were really struggling with some concepts and you ended up getting a grade that ended up getting like adjusted on a curve. But it's like, if you type a problem and you're just getting code and your goal is to learn this stuff, that's probably hurting you in the end. They rush to perfect these, get people hooked, give them the option and not think at a low cost. Yeah. Although in this case, I think that would happen for pretty much any business. I mean, this is kind of how Amazon ended up succeeding too. They just had things for cheaper. They got in at the right time. Then they're like, well, we don't have to have things for cheap forever, and they raise the cost. Okay, take care, Couch. Hey, Sparty. Go from free usage. Yeah, well, like I said, that's just kind of how businesses work, right? It's compete on some factor, quality, cost, availability, some other thing. And then once you've gotten a market, you probably don't need to compete on that factor anymore. No class things with AI. This is a side project. I I think you're kind of maybe not realizing the connection here. Like a lot of university students will have their like main work and then side projects. And your side projects are still an opportunity for you to learn. I mean, in this case, you're probably learning AI and you can still get some projects done, but I think it's probably overall a disservice. Like you should probably be struggling with these things and learning through the problems yourself at first. Yeah. Okay, so wait, what was I doing here? Item stacking. I still never came to a conclusion about this. I kind of like this idea. It's like the +1 adventurer perk in that it's almost always a must pick. Oh, that's the problem. Yeah, okay. Ugh. Problem I have with any of this is that it's a must pick perk. It's like getting 5 upgrades in one. Actually, probably more than that. It's like double all shop storage, double warehouse storage, double customer like purchasing power, double worker stocking power, and probably some other things. I don't know. So it's like, well, if you could always take this, wouldn't you just take it? So, okay, how about that? I guess if it's something you would always take, maybe it shouldn't be tied to a random choice. That brings us either to spending upgrade points before a run or accomplishing something mid-run. Maybe it's like you beat 5 bosses or something and you get it. Then we need to advertise it. How about we just go with the original idea? Yeah, we just go with option 2 and just see where that brings us. Problem is, we're not going to have many people testing this before launch to see if it's fun or good. All right, well, let's go take a look at this. So we have what? Meta perk tab container? Yeah, this. I think we have perk constants, which tells you what things go in there. Do we have meta stuff in here? Yeah, we do. Right there. Okay, so we make a new meta perk that says start with item stacking. And it costs like a boatload. I don't know, 100. And then another 100. In which case we just need to manifest the 100. And then we put this down here. 209. Start with... Gonna be start with item stacking. All right, so we don't need this. Max level is 2. This would be called item stacking, I guess. But I'm going to write it to do saying, see if we can pull this from the item stacking ability directly. Yeah. Ability ID is going to be meta item stacking. This is what? Stack. Okay. Max level 2, ability ID none. That's all fine. Grant starting town perks. Where was that called from? Oh, here it is. I don't know about that. But I guess it's going to be grant item stacking. All right, so we get the level of this. We don't need this. We don't need any of this stuff. So force grant ability. Isn't there a single version of this? Force grant ability at specific level. Here it is. All right, we want to grant, what? Is it an ID and a level? ID and a level. Okay. Ability ID dot item stacking. And level is level. Done. Now we just delete everything else. Okay, well, that was pretty easy. Now what's this? Form skill table. I gotta think of how we're gonna write all this out. Columns, additional town perks. Can we just pull this from item stacking? Unlock the ability for potions, armors, and weapons to stack. Start each run with item stacking. Wait, there's got to be a level here. How does this look? I don't love this. Level. Yeah, I don't love this. What does it say? Unlock the ability for potions, armors, and weapons to stack. Level and stack size. I mean, we can get the stack size column thing, right? Stack size column or header. What? Why I call this? Here it is. Stack size. Columns. Got it. All right, so stack size would just be 0, 1, 2. Does that need to be an array of arrays? I guess so. In which case, can we get that from here? Stack size per level. Wow, fantastic. Does that work? It does. Okay, can we use that over here too? Dot count. Okay. I guess as long as we're doing this, we might as well just pull the name from here, right? Get display name. Player allow item stacking. Dot data dot get display name. All right. Is that it? Are we done? No, we're not done because we have one more thing to do. But the one more thing is really easy. Challenge functions. This. Cool. Done. Okay. I think that's the whole feature. So let's go test it and see if it works. But that was never really the problem, is seeing if this works. It's seeing if it feels right. And I don't think we can do that quickly. So I click upgrades. Now we see this. And it says 3. Why does it say 3? Item min, item max. Oh, right, because -1. What am I thinking? Because level 0 is what you start these as. All right. Start each run with item stacking. Yeah, okay. I think this is probably clear enough, but maybe not. Yeah, anyway, we put a point in here, and now we go start the run. Any run, it doesn't matter what. And then I just click this. Yeah, so we see pairs of items show up. And skeletons are taking those pairs of items, stocking them, and then customers should buy them. Come on. Oh, I can just give you this. Yeah. Whoa. That's a lot of money. All right, so that looks like it's working. Let's put another point into that. And now we should be able to stack up to 3 items at a time. Are any of these stacks of 3? Yes. Okay, great. Yeah, so that's a feature. It's working. Do we want it? And also, can I improve this by any means? Start each run with item stacking. I think it's pretty clear. Oh, also, if I get that, it should show up in perks, right? Yeah, it does. Yeah, all right. I think it's pretty clear. Yeah, so that's a big question. Do we want this? So if we rewind a bit and we go into cmsave.json and I changed total perk points to 150. So this is after you've beaten 10 scenarios. You get 15 points each. So your total is going to be 150. So now we act like we're starting a new run. We'd be on scenario 10. We'd refund this. We have 150. So when we're choosing our perks, we could pick item stacking, and now we're down to only 50. So we could do something like that, I guess, and maybe that. And now start our run. Oh, wait, we'd be on run 11, I guess. I think this would be too easy. I think balancing this is going to be kind of crazy. It's sort of what I talked about earlier when I said there's sort of a sandbox mode that we could make. This is kind of like a fake sandbox. It's like, hey, we've given you a super powerful perk. You could choose it. It's going to drastically change your experience. Can you drag stacks? Yeah. How's it work with manually giving it to customers? They will buy all of the stack, which means they'll give you quite a lot of money. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. This is kind of nuts. Because like when someone buys this, they're going to spend... Well, they just ignored it. Are you going to buy it? Yeah, they spend 6 gold instead of just 3. Oh, how do I feel about this? All right, let me write my thoughts down. This is so impactful, and unlocking it comes down to spending 100 upgrade points, which you can only do at the beginning of the run. Oh, we could also allow it to show up as a very rare upgrade. Hey, Neocromer. Yeah, so here's another thing we could do. We have rare perks. Why is there remove rare perks? Oh, I see. Yeah, so we have different adventure limits has a 5% chance of showing up. Grant storage has a 30% chance of showing up. We could give this like a 1% chance to show up. And when you get this, your runs go bonkers. But I think that's a bad idea because if let's say, I don't know, speed running or competing became a thing, it's like, oh, well, just get lucky on your first perk by getting this 1% chance. And then the rest of your run's going to be super easy. But wouldn't speedrunners have all the upgrade points anyway and they just start their runs with it? I don't know. I'm just going to leave it as is for now. I think the answer to this question is, where'd the question go? Do we want this? Tentatively, yes. All right, so let's go check this in. Yeah, it looks good. So we don't have enough money to get both of these, right? Or enough upgrade points. Oh, no, I do, because when I refund, I go back down to 150 because of how I coded this. If people want to get deep runs, they reset often early until they get good items. Yeah, I think this is one of the issues with kind of any roguelike game is power variance. It's also what makes roguelike games a lot of fun. But imagine you have literal just power values. So you either get +1 power or you get +1000 power. It's like, okay, this is such a big difference. This is 1000x difference that, yeah, you probably would restart a bunch of times. But if your power values are more like +1.2 or +1.4, like, yeah, you could restart your run to get an extra 0.2 power, but you probably wouldn't do that a whole lot unless you're like super serious about the game. But yeah, something like this is just massive. So in our case, it's like you either get a perk or you get like 10 perks. And yeah, 10x difference is super important. So I think we don't make it a rare drop. We just make it a, yeah, you spend the points ahead of time and you get it. Okay, so add item stacking to bone mode. So I analyzed our options for this. In short, I'm not super convinced that this is the right move to add this upgrade. But if we do, then I think this is the way to do it without randomness. That way, players don't feel like they always have to choose this massively powerful upgrade during a run. They can choose it ahead of time or not. Yeah, there. I wonder too, oh, something I didn't consider, which I'm glad I had this thought. When you have 0 upgrade points, you're going to come to this the very first time and you're going to see this, getting started. You won't have a best time. You won't have even a right arrow here. It'll just say getting started. The first scenario is intended to help you get the hang of bone mode. So you're like, oh, cool. What's bone mode about? You click upgrades and you're like, okay, I get it. There's some upgrades here. And maybe you read them all. And the numbers are 5, 10, 10, 10, 15, 9, and 100. You're like, whoa, that one must be pretty important. Yeah, there's one other tiny, tiny little problem here, I guess, which is that the icon for this shows up in this icon. I don't think people are going to care about that, though. But technically, you cannot get item stacking through this. In fact, maybe I should say this is the only way to get item stacking in bone mode. code is not open source, right? Why creating Git for it since it's private? I don't know about Git. So you're correct. It's not open source. Git is just like what you'd call source control or version control software. So what it lets you do is make like small changes to your code base, which allows you to do a bunch of things. One, it lets you see the history of anything you do. It lets you control how code even gets into the code base. It also kind of can act as a backup, like I'm pushing to GitHub, and anyone else who has this on their machine who's been working on Skeleseller also has it there. So like, let's say I'm about to make an experimental change. I don't need to be like, well, let me just intertwine it with my code, and then it'll be impossible to untangle afterward. So yeah, in general, I'd say for any project that lasts longer than 10 minutes, you probably want Git involved. Or rather just source control. It doesn't have to be Git. But like, yeah, if you're writing a one-off script to just whatever, I don't know, list the contents of a directory or something, it's like, yeah, okay, you don't need Git for that. But for pretty much everything, it should be a good habit to get into that. Just make a Git repo, set it up, put it on GitHub, make it private. No one has access to it but you. Hey, Noel, what if you lower the weight of it stacking? I'm not sure I understand what you mean. Do you mind clarifying? Do I use... I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't do anything to dye my hair if you're asking about that. I don't know if it's genes or something about stress or what. My wife was just commenting yesterday on how white my beard hair is getting. Oh man. And so I keep creating new folders and files and it just becomes a mess. Yes. Definitely use Git. It's very easy to set up. In fact, this is the kind of thing, if you're used to using AI, you could just ask it like, how do I set up Git, or what are the advantages? Yeah, whatever it is you might want to ask it. And in that case, just setting it up, I think is fine. By the way, setting up a Git repo is very simple. It's install Git, run Git init, you're done. But then setting it up to push to GitHub is an extra few steps that is not easy enough to explain here. But in short, it's set a remote repository and then set your credentials on GitHub, which is setting up an SSH key. And it's not hard. It's just, yeah, you have to follow those steps. So make it a perk, but for item stacking, 1 point has a 5% chance to stack once. Oh, we can't have a chance to stack just because of how the mechanics of the game work. So as an example here, let's start a run. And let's go build the warehouse. So I'm not going to get the warehouse. There we go. Okay. And let's say we had a bunch of items here, right? So, ooh, do I have... I think I broke something. Anyway, a chance to stack would mean you can just like move items around until they stack. So it would just make it kind of tedious. Is even useful for non-programming stuff, history of written documents or such? Yeah, I think it could be. I think this all comes down to like what software to use for what. So for example, I use Google Docs for a lot of different things, and Google Docs has a built-in revision history. It's not great, but it's there, and you can name versions if you want to. So like, let's say you have a design document and you make a V1 and a V2 of it. Like, you should just name those versions and you can compare between them if you want. But if you're writing notes in Obsidian and you're taking them as Markdown, then yeah, I think storing them in Git makes sense. Because at that point, they're sort of like code. They're less like documents, even though they're used as documentation. But yeah, I agree. It's useful for more than just that. I think I broke this because I'm pretty sure I did not start with this, and yet item stacking was still on by default. Yeah, in fact, it granted us the max level of this. How did that happen? Git level of ability, data.id. ID is this. So what the level is? Non-zero. That's funny. It's funny because that's not supposed to be the case, of course. Yeah, so I have level 0 of this. I click start, and it should break in, and it should say level is 0. But it's gonna, yeah, it is 0. What? If it's less than or equal to 0, then set it to the maximum level. Okay, no, that was not something I expected. Specify a number 0 or less to grant that many levels away from the maximum. Oh, whoops. Whoops. Okay, my bad. I forgot how I wrote that function. All right, where'd that code go? Where'd the code go? Here it is. All right, so if level is less than or equal to 0, sure, whatever, then just return. Okay, that way we don't grant it at the maximum level. Glad I checked that out. Yeah, that would have been quite the blunder. Granted, we're not, it's not like the game's already launched, so no one probably would have even noticed until I tested this myself and I'm like, oh, what's going on there? Yeah, so now we're like not stacking here. Cool. All right, so then the only other question I had is, do we write in this that like this is the only way to get item stacking? And will that always be true? I think it's one of those things you can just learn through observation. Yeah, I think we'll check this in. Okay, well, we're done with that. The confirm button, enter, should work to buy a perk in bone mode when in one of those tabs. Yeah. Yeah, this is a pretty nice quality of life change that I just never did. You should be able to press enter here. Wait, what? Oh. Enter is being consumed by the town menu. But yeah, it should click buy perk or this one or this one or this one, depending on which tab you have open. So let's go figure that out. Why don't we? Buy perk. Here it is. So here's the buy button. The buy button is shared. Yes, it is shared. So then we can put it on handled input here and handle this. This should be pretty simple. Hey, Bokanon. It's going pretty well. Yeah, I think it's going pretty well. All right, so if is pressed UI cancel. No, UI accept is what I want. And it's Godot strings UI accept. I don't even know this is how you do this because I've forgotten my learnings. So let's just look at something else. Is action pressed? Yeah, that's what it is apparently. All right, so if you pressed it, I want to activate the buy button. And buy button is visible and it's not disabled. Then what do you do when you click the buy button? Pressed equals perk was bought. Yeah, that's pretty easy. Okay, that should do it. And then we need to mark this as handled. I forgot how you do that. Accept event. And the accept event comes before? No. It's not that. It's set input as handled. And it comes after. All right, that should do it. Let's go try it out. So you shouldn't be able to buy something if you can't afford it, which is why we check whether it's disabled. We also check whether it's visible, because if you purchased every single perk, then the buy button... actually, I don't know what happens when you purchase every perk. I don't remember. But whatever. All right, so let's just click through the first one of these. Okay, so we press enter here. And it didn't work because the input went over here. What if we... Okay, that worked. Oh, it didn't make a sound. It should probably make a sound. How do we make it make a sound? Well, we presumably have the town. Yeah, we do. Town.play sound button click. Another way we could potentially do this is trigger this through the button, but the button is not a button class that we control. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, still, this is a problem with where the focus is. So if I do this, it's not doing anything. If I do that, oh, did it access all of these? Oh, we need to say is visible in tree. Oh, that's tricky. Yeah. Because technically what happened right there is the buy button is visible in each individual tab, but those tabs are not visible. So by checking is visible in tree, we're checking to see is it visible on the screen right now to the player. So what happened before is I pressed enter and it bought a town perk and a building perk. And thankfully I did it in this scenario where we have enough money to afford that. Otherwise I wouldn't have realized that was even a problem. So now if I press enter on this tab, it clicks build, but it doesn't click it in anything else. I press enter on this tab, it hires. If I press enter here, yeah, it gives you town perks. And if I press enter here, it does nothing because I don't have the sludge. But as soon as I do, I press enter and it works. Okay, then enter doesn't do anything because it doesn't know which one of these you'd want to pick. That's fine. But yeah, we have a bigger problem here, which is I guess that you click this and then press enter and oh, it did both. How's that possible? Maybe this should just be moved to input and not unhandled input. Or GUI input? What's I don't know where focus handling happens. All right, so I don't have to keep clicking this a million times. Let's just start this run and hit save. There. I also don't know if I've ever tested this. What happens when you load from a save file in the first scenario? Does it tell you need to earn 500 gold? No, it doesn't. Okay. Okay, that seems to have worked. What about this? Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. That fixed everything. And it makes the sound, and I should test with a controller. Where's my controller? There it is. Okay, so we click over here. Wait, no, let's just reload this because I already made a purchase, right? There we go. That's pretty good. Can I switch tabs? I probably can, but I can't actually set this up. Nice. Nice. I need wisdom sludge now. Oh, that's weird. Right-clicking this doesn't work. Oh, because I don't have a farm? Huh, that's kind of... It's kind of strange, right? Hold on a second. This is a cheat, so I don't really care if this works or not for players. Yeah, why doesn't right-clicking that work? Huh. Currency label. Right-click. Here it is. Debug modify currency. And then there's a sludge label that does this. Town.sludge. That's strange. Huh. That is strange. Why would you not work? It's being hit. That, And then it sets it to 0, I'm guessing? Yeah. Why? Okay, something I'm confused about is this isn't going into the setter here. Does this only work if you've gotten the town.max sludge? What is that? Max money. Okay, hold on. Let's just put a breakpoint there. It never gets hit? What? Excuse me? Town is set, right? Yeah, it has to be set. Well, I'm confused. Because clamping this should set this to... Yeah, it sets it to 10,000. But then we get in the accessor for this and it's not working. Hey, Matt. Back again, indeed. Chef Slime. Chef Slime has to exist. Maybe it doesn't. Town.chef slime. No. What? What? That's a strange bug. Oh, they're gone. Whoa. Okay, I think that's an issue. I don't think I ever noticed that. And it doesn't technically impact anything either. But if you make a new game on the first scenario, you get the chef slime. Yeah. Then you save and load and it's gone. I never noticed. Okay, so bug, saving, And loading a bone mode scenario will delete the chef slime unless you had the farm or pond already. How's stress management going? It's going pretty well. The today command has a bunch of things that I worked on in the last week off stream. All right, so get rid of this. I don't care about this stuff. I understand what the problem is now with this. So I need to just go build it myself, I guess. All right, let's get the... There we go. Now I can right click this and then go over to this tab and click buy. Yeah, nice. Yeah, it feels pretty good. Okay. And this looks pretty straightforward. Allow UI accept to buy perks. Yeah, it has to be in input, or else clicking the town menu and pressing enter will proc both the town menus button and the buy perk button. Exciting times indeed. You know, I think I want to be careful what I say here. There have been some people who played Skeleseller in the last week. Yeah, these two people. And this person, I have their video in my today command now. They really enjoyed the game. They had a lot of fun. This person was more critical of it from the very beginning. And by the end, they're like, I'm not really sold on this game. And like, that's fine. I do think the game is like in as good a shape as it's going to get without me spending months focusing on just polished stuff. And yeah, every once in a while people will be like, oh, that was good for a demo. And I always think, are they expecting something more out of the full game that they're not getting here? Or are they just like, oh yeah, the length for a demo is good? Because yeah, I will need to see what people, how they experience this. Yeah, one of the thoughts, as long as I'm talking about this, one of the thoughts I have is I wonder how many people just sort of expect that a game will continue to get developed after it's been launched, such that you should go into early access, even if you don't want to go into early access. But yeah, I don't know. This is all about just buyer psychology at this point. All right, so saving and loading a bone mode scenario doesn't give you the garbage slime. Let's go find out what's going on there. Or the chef slime. Did I type garbage slime? No, I didn't. Create chef slime right there. But this is not done when you load. Where's this called from? We don't just create the chef slime, do we? This is after setting up all the buildings? Wait, this is in a init. We call load down here. This would be too soon then, huh? Hey, Gavino. Yeah, it has been a long time. How's it going? I got a decent amount of stuff done in the last week. Are you pretty happy? Hardcore opinionated gamers might be a tougher audience to crack. Yeah. I think this is just one of those, like, we're about to find out. And I think in some ways it'll be too late to do anything about Skeleseller at that point. Like, let's say this person who did the YouTube video where they're like, oh, I'm not convinced about the game. And let's say they said, like, you know, it's good for a demo. If I did go the early access route, they might be like, okay, this quality is commensurate with what I expect out of an early access game. So now I expect it to get better from here. Then I wonder how many people will post reviews saying something like, this didn't change from early access, and they, you know, give it a thumbs down or something. I don't know. I probably just shouldn't read Steam reviews for other people's games and then extrapolate what's going to happen with my game. Doing a stay high now. Hey, Ramy, do you have audio now? Just keep making games. Yeah, I think that's what I have to do. But still, I think every project you tackle, you're probably trying to improve your odds at success, whatever success means for you. So if it's just completing a project and you find that you're not completing them, you'll probably change the scope of it. Oh, still no audio. So you're reading this through captions? Because I find that the captions mess up enough where I have to be careful if there's anything in particular. There are only a couple of viewers who tend to read the captions, though. Probably trying to improve your odds of success. Yeah. So then the other thing I was gonna say is if you're making a business, then you're trying to improve your monetization usually, which means improving the product and probably your pricing and marketing. So yeah, I'd like the game to do well so I could just kind of make a project that I really want to work on that I don't think the world needs. Oh, I see, Remy. Okay. Yeah, if captions didn't exist, I would have taken it as a joke, but I've had people read the captions and then talk to me and then get confused about something I say, and I'm like, oh, it's because it mistranscribed it. All right, so how do we fix this? Do we call in anything in challenge mode over here? It's loaded from game save gets invoked. That could potentially do this. Alternatively, couldn't we just do this here anyway? Couldn't we just create this regardless of whether you'll need it or not? Started or loaded challenge mode? Where do the constraints happen? Apply. Oh my God. Okay, so what happens if you already have the chef slime? Ah, perfect. So if it's not null, we just return. So just do this here, regardless of anything else. And I think we're fine. I think that'll fix it. Well, that was just a yes or no question. I don't think there was much to act like you wouldn't answer that legitimately. Every day I work on a project for money that I don't think the world needs. Well, I guess you know what I like in this too is maybe a movie producer or someone who would make a popular film so that they can make a film they want to make, or maybe they want to make more than the popular film. And it's like I think Skeleseller is more mainstream than Botland was for sure, at least in terms of just onboarding and appeal. But the next game I want to make is like Undertale, in that it'd probably be single player adventure comedy. And I don't know how many people want that kind of game at this point. I think there are going to be a lot of hurdles that it has to jump over in order to be successful. But such is life. Got to figure this stuff out. Okay, so we have the chef slime, and I save and load, and we should still have the chef slime. And I should still be able to click this. Perfect. But then if I go into a new scenario like this one, this works. If I save and load, it still works, and we have no errors for any of that. Comedy game, that sounds pretty good. I think I have a pretty interesting idea for people who might like the genre, but one of the things that I've been trying to think about, so when it comes to minimum viable product, you know, one of the ways I look at this is you always come up with what's the smallest vertical through your product, and you do that. So as an example, if you're making like Amazon, your smallest vertical is probably like there's a site with products on it, and it's got maybe like, I don't know, 1 to 3 products even. It's not a lot. It's just the smallest vertical through it, and you can buy them and it'll ship them to you. And that's it, right? Like that's how you'd prove that a business like Amazon might work, is you sell products and then see if people like the products. With something like Skeleseller, I think the smallest vertical is essentially what the prototype was, which is like battling plus selling stuff. With the new game that I want to do, I think the smallest vertical is kind of weird in that it's like the first 10 minutes of the game, but super polished to see if people even like that style of game. So it's like proving out the adventure and comedy aspect. It's going to be very bizarre. The other thing that's going to be bizarre about this is I think doing this on stream is potentially riskier than doing Skeleseller on stream. But anyway, we'll see. Some of your translations, item descriptions, and so on made me chuckle quite a bit. I'm glad. I put a lot of work into some of those. And I made a Blue Sky post about some of the item descriptions that I don't think people tend to see. Where is that? Yeah, this. I'll link this in chat if anyone wants to see it. It's not like super interesting. The risk, I think there are two main risks. I think one is copycats, and I think two is I want to change the process quite a bit for the next game to be more AI centric, just to see how it goes. And I could see some pushback from this. But yeah, on the copycats front, I don't know. I don't know how many people would like directly copy the game, but I think there's a certain amount of influence that if you're like, hey, I'm making this game and yeah, it looks like it's gonna be fun, I think other people might start making it too. And if they end up making it faster, then yeah, what happens in the market for the game that I'm making? Very niche ones. It's risky, but the gaming space would be pretty boring. Yeah, I think this is a really, really good thing for me to keep in mind. I'm actually going to save this, your little quote here. Save this in my note. I like that, Murky. And I also like applying that in general. Do you know how many people saw Skeleseller and like, oh, this is an idle game, so you should have ascensions, and you should have equipment, and you should have experience, and you should do whatever other things that the idle genre does. And I'm like, I'm not making a traditional game ever. Like, Botland was not a traditional game. Skeleseller is not supposed to be a traditional game. I want there to be some creativity involved in it. And so I had to push back pretty heavily. And by the way, I mean, like, this is not super uncommon that we saw this. There are enough people who, even in the discussions on Steam, said this sort of thing. Like, there's a bunch of demo feedback things, but I think some of these even, yeah, like this. Please add weapons, armors, accessories to heroes. And like, no shade at them for wanting this sort of thing, but I wrote like a big essay about here's why I don't want this in the game. And yeah, I think it's an important part of game design to push back sometimes. Hey, Trickitch. Some pushback is understating it. I think a lot of people are just like AI bad with anything AI. Yeah, I think it's nuanced when it comes to game dev, and even Steam took some time to sort of understand this nuance. There was the AI survey that they did, and it pretty much just asked, did you use AI? And if yes, you would have to say that your AI or your game is AI helped or created. And now I think they're like, look, if it's only for developer facing tools, like you used AI to write some code, then yeah, we don't care anymore. I think this is the stance now. I need to double check this. But I think that nuance is potentially lost on some people. And I think some people are going to be anti-AI regardless. I think serious copycats only come along once you make a lot of money. Yeah. Yeah. I generally agree. You always do part of the work on stream and not all. Pick interesting bits. Yeah, but there's so many benefits I get from streaming this. Like, I am kind of curious once I finally start this new game, which I've mentioned this before, but there's almost no future where I don't start a new game at some point. If Skeleseller sells $50 billion worth of stuff, I'm still probably going to make another game. If Skeleseller sells one copy, I'm still probably going to make another game. The only future in which I don't is like some terrible accident happens and I, like lose the ability to function. I hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, otherwise, like, my plan is to make another game at some point. And it's just a matter of when and like, yeah, how public is it? But I am curious what people will think as I start to build this out and like the idea takes shape and people realize like, oh, okay, I see. But yeah, I got to test it out quite a lot. Do they have the signature Adam comedy skills? What if they have better Adam comedy skills? What if they're Adam 2.0? What if I become obsolete? Excuse me. Make custom events, helicopters, traders, turn into XYZ other server. Yeah. And I think this is where mods are pretty nice because someone can make a mod for your game to turn it into another game. And I actually, one of the most baffling things to me, someone took World of Warcraft and added like hunger, thirst, temperature, and something else. I don't remember what. Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Maybe like light or something like that. And this sounds horrendous to me. Like, I hate this idea. But someone out there must like it because they made this. And then, yeah, other people were like, oh, this sounds cool. I'd like to play that. It's like, oh, I never want to play that game. Okay, so fix small bug with loading in bone mode. The chef slime was only created for a new game or when you had a building that required it. This meant that you could go into the first scenario, save, load, and not have the chef slime until building the farm or pond. I don't think this would have impacted users at all, short of some confusion. But it made it harder to cheat in Wisdom Sludge. Winky face. Whoops, I think I did that right. Yeah. Okay, so all we did is move this line from there to there. Yeah, good, cool. Check in, cool, done. Cross that off the list. Hey, Sound of Gaming. You talking about vibe coding? Yeah, a little bit. You already meet your goals. Thanks, man. I'm a Java dev primarily, and I love gaming and want to make my own. Where should I start? So I think the way I suggest that people start, even if you're a developer already, is go find a popular game engine that is roughly aligned with what you want to do. So if you're making like a hyper realistic 3D game, I'd say like go with Unreal. If you're making a 2D pixel art game, you've got some other options, but I probably wouldn't go with Unreal, for example. And there are lots of game engines out there. So you could find one in Java, you could find one in C#, you could find one in a different language and learn that language. But yeah, it's definitely go with a game engine. And then I think step 2, so step 1, find a game engine. Don't spend a lot of time on this step. You can always change. Step 2 is come up with what you want to learn or work on. Is it like your own game? Is it just game dev basics? And then depending on what you do, it's like set out on a project that is scoped well. And I'll leave that vague because if you are a developer with 50 years of experience, then you probably know what scoping is and you can probably tackle a very long project. But if you're a dev with 5 months of experience, you probably have no idea what kind of project you can tackle. And as far as the what you want to learn part, game dev is massive. And even something like game design, I think a lot of people potentially want to do. I think game design is tricky because you can't know if your game design is good without testing the game that resulted from it. And game design on its own is just producing a document and maybe some pictures or something and maybe some mock-ups. But it is not producing a game. For that, you need to do the development. Well, you could potentially ask AI at some point to do this. But the way you iterate on kind of anything is you enter a feedback loop. And yeah, with just a document, you can't tell, like, will this game be fun? So that's why I say figure out what you want to work on. And then if it's whatever, just straight up game dev, or if it's art or something like that, then yeah, come up with a project. And I have this page that I'll share in chat. This is the 20 games challenge. This just has a bunch of different games that if you started and just worked your way through this list, you'd learn quite a lot. Pong is the first game. Pong is incredibly easy to understand as a player because you move up and you move down and that's it. There's maybe a menu, right? But like it's trying to replicate a real life game. So it's understandable from the point of view of a player. It's also pretty understandable from the point of view of a developer. You have like 3 things on the screen at any given point, and you have very simple controls, and you could make AI, but you don't even have to make AI. You could just say it's multiplayer and at the same computer, and it'd be, yeah, pretty straightforward. So then you build up from there. That's my kind of general advice. AI dev off all my past streams. You know, I'd be kind of worried about that from the point of view of any streamer. Like, someone could use this to train an AI on your voice or your mannerisms, then fool all your family members. Then they start loving the AI version of you. Don't spend too long picking an engine. Yeah. Learn from Katie's troubles. Scope is a myth created by big tech. I mean, look, scope in this case, one of the most common refrains of new game devs is something like, I started working on a game, but it was too complicated and I stopped. And complicated might have been too complicated or big or ambitious or whatever. But this is incredibly common to hear. And really, you could swap out game for a hobby project. But with games, for whatever reason, it seems to happen a lot more. So scope definitely matters. I would not say it's a myth. And if you want to avoid heartache for yourself learning game dev, I would say to focus on a project you can actually tackle. so many people are just like, I want to do game dev so I can make Fortnite 2.0. And it's like, you will not make Fortnite 2.0. Not as your first project. It's just not a thing. And also Fortnite at this point is like a massive game anyway. First commercial game was Pong. Even doing programming and game prototyping for years. Yeah, Pong is a very good place to start. Yeah, I think so. Made the first 2 games, a bit bored, jumped to Portal, couldn't do it and quit. Yeah, by the way, I don't think it's worth going through all 20 of those games from start to finish. I think it's worth going through the process and figuring out, like, one of the main questions is, do I like game dev? I think this is an important question to answer early on, and then figuring out how to get yourself to like it more, because games are a slog to make, especially nowadays. I don't think you can just spend like a week and put your thing out there. And yeah, you hear about projects like Peak that came out and they were made by, this was not made by a small number of people, right? Wasn't this like 4 or 8 people? It wasn't like, 2 people working in a basement or something, but this was made pretty quickly. And I think more and more games are kind of following this trend of put something out there and then try to improve it. And if the idea doesn't catch on, then move on faster. But the ones that you see succeed are the ones that caught on. It's survivorship bias. So you will not see the 90 projects that company might have made beforehand that didn't catch on, or the 100,000 people who tried making a game in that same vein and they also didn't catch on. Hey Rohit, how's it going? It's going pretty well. Yeah, making some progress. Notifications are made transparent. Need to change your mouse filter. This one's pretty easy to fix. Notification box. So somewhere we set this to transparent. Yep, right there. And we set the mouse filter to ignore. Make sure you can't click what is now invisible. Yeah. All right, let's go try that. Excuse me. All right, so how do we test this? I guess just new game. All right, so we hire everyone and click here. You can, oh, no, that's not working. Okay, that means that it's not the notification box that's the problem. It's something else that's the problem. Wait, this is after slide out. Hold on a second. Let me do that again. No, that's not working. Oh, because there's a VBox container there, and that's got to be set to ignore. This mouse filter is currently passed. Yeah, should just be ignore, I think. Wait, so I wonder if this was even necessary. It probably was, but it would have been off the screen, so maybe it wouldn't have mattered. I can still click that. If I click this, yeah, so now I can move the camera from this blank space and zoom and everything, but you wouldn't be able to do that before. Working on this indie game for like 7 to 8 years. Yeah, and I think when that much care and attention goes into a game and it's kind of as mainstream as what that Adam is doing, I think it's probably going to be successful. But every once in a while you hear about a game that's been worked on for a long time and just nothing happens with it. There's a game that I funded on, well, funded, I mean, I helped fund on Kickstarter. And I was like, is this game ever coming out? I'm getting emails about it. Well, I went and looked at their, where is it? They had an update post somewhere. Is this the right page? Yeah. So they had an update post, and their most recent one, this July 14th. First of all, this game said it was going to launch in like 2020. So even at this post, it was already 5 years late. And I looked at the comments. First of all, this update is only art stuff. Where are the comments? My goodness, this is a long post. Okay. So not to be a downer, wouldn't it be best to just cancel the game at this point instead of stringing folks along? This is forever away still. Seriously, Crooks, supposed to come out years ago. Give us a date. Like, I just randomly Googled this the other day because I was thinking about it and how, like, oh yeah, I'd like to play this game that I paid for. I don't know if this game's ever coming out. So yeah, not every game lasts for a long time and then actually comes out and is good. I think there are probably money issues. I mean, from what I was reading about online, there were potentially some project management issues. And now maybe it's money issues. Hey, Sergeant Pepper. Seems the right progression. I mean, that could be the right progression. I do think it all depends on the person who's making the game. But I think a lot of people jump right into the multiplayer RPG without realizing what might go into it or what problems they'll struggle with. He's had enough in his reply to them. Have you ever worked on anything in your life? I don't think that was that person. I think that was someone else. Oh, God, I got to scroll back to this now. Where was that? Yeah, this is just some random person. And by the way, I think that this can be a response, but I think if a game is 5 years past its launch date and the creator is explicitly not sharing updates on like, here's when it's going to launch or something, then I think something fishy is going on. And again, when money's involved, I feel like you owe people something. And if your game's going to be 8 years after someone paid money for it, you probably should tell them like, okay, look, here are the struggles, or here are what the problems are, or here's, yeah. And it's not obvious to me where those things are posted, and I've been getting emails about this thing. Consider making a bunch of small games I could learn different things I could use for what I really want to build, but I know myself and I lose interest. Yeah, and I think that's important to know yourself. A person just release the game 100% as is, no support, no nothing. Let it be, even if it's bad. Yeah, and people are saying or open source it, let the community handle it. You know, in some ways, it's still kind of inspiring to see this stuff because it means that a community can get passionate about something and then potentially kind of bring you over the finish line. Okay, so this is necessary. I did need to turn this off. But I wonder why if it's off the screen. Maybe because of how positioning works. Anyway. The void rains upon her heart. Games in early access since 2018. I haven't seen that game. And also, that's like the opposite of what we're talking about, right? Like a game that, if it's an early access, is monetized already and is getting updates and is getting a lot of care from the developer. I think you do see this every once in a while. I think the same thing's happening with Valheim. It's a complete game pretty much, but they're still in early access for whatever reason, and people are already pretty happy with it, and they're still getting updates. And then you sometimes see games that get launched and don't charge for any updates, like Terraria or Stardew Valley. And those are like very standout games. So what am I doing? Wrong button. Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is fixed. I'm going to mark this as fixed. Ugh, I forgot a UID file. Add missing UID file. All right, so fix small issue with notifications. You could still click the area, or I should say mouse events were still being absorbed by the area that they used to fill, I guess. The better word that I wanted than fill. Anyway. Yeah. Okay, and I did not look through the code, but yeah. I was going to say I only changed 2 lines, so it shouldn't be too complicated. Okay, so next up, new bone mode screen should probably allow shrinking horizontally. It doesn't play well with that right now, especially not with the best time text that shows. All right, how do we test this? That's how. Yeah, so it just doesn't shrink at all. And that means that the minimum size needs to be whatever this is. How do we figure out the size? 1270? Yeah, that's probably too large. But I think there's going to be some problem with trying to shrink this. Well, let's go look at it. New challenge run screen. So this is in a scroll container. But, oh, it has a custom minimum size in the X direction. And I set it to 1280. Why not I just set this to 1000? What does that do? No, I didn't start this the right way. By the way, if anyone knows any small Twitch streamers, well, they don't need to be small Twitch streamers, but Twitch streamers who would like to play Scalaseller, please let me know, or just reach out to them directly. I'm trying to find more and more people to play the game, and ideally have some like sustained PR blast after launch, not just a drop in the, or flash in the pan. What am I looking for? Oh, it's over here. Yeah, I want to set this back to same as editor, maybe. Yeah. Am I programming .NET on Mac? Yeah, this is Godot and C#. And yeah, I'm on a Mac. You're welcome, Kevos. All right, let's take a look at this. So yeah, now this won't expand. So I don't know if we can do this. I want to make this take up more space. I guess we need to do something like, well, maybe change the anchor here. Set the V center wide. Yeah, I want a minimum size, but I want this to be, I guess, anchor points and not this stuff. No, this won't work, will it? Oh, it kind of will. And yeah, okay, I see. So I want to set this like 0.6 and 0.4. That's not big enough though. I have what, 1920? I want it to be 1280. So this divided by this is 67%. So I need to set this to like that, or maybe even bigger. Let's try that and see how that looks. It's still kind of... I don't know how I want to do this. Yeah, I don't know how I want to do this. I want this to take up like up to 1280 pixels. But if it doesn't have that much space, to go lower than it. And that's where I guess I kind of want it to be in a max size container, I guess, which we have and I could use. And maybe this is the case for that, because I don't know how else you accomplish this. Because if I had this take up the whole screen, for example, like let's say I just set this to 0 and this to 1. Now nothing is going to limit the size, so it's going to just keep expanding. But yeah, I guess we could try a max size container for this. All right, so instantiate max size container. Put this over here, put this under that, and give this a maximum size of 1280. All right, that's it, right? And we've done it. And then it can shrink to a certain minimum size, but it doesn't get smaller than that now. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. Now the problem is that as you shrink this, it's shrinking this bit weirdly. So we could put a minimum width on that. Best time label. Minimum width. Just set it to like, I don't know, 150. What does that look like now? Yeah, that's better. But I think just shrinking this section might be good. I think the minimum width is set to pretty large on that, so that it can fit potentially any scenario that you might have. Well, actually, this is already pretty decent. The other thing we could do is allow this to scroll horizontally as well, which I don't think I would want. Yeah, so is there anything else we could do here? No, I think this is fine. And we'll probably put this in a tab dialog eventually anyway. All right, so let's check that in. Handle shrinking the new run screen for bone mode. it didn't handle horizontal shrinking all that well before this. Is it a Corn? Yeah, this is a Corn keyboard. I saw the glove. I know this sounds kind of silly, especially coming from someone with this keyboard, but it looks like it has too many keys. And I think they made a version that has fewer keys, but it still looked like too many. And I get that this is a somewhat minimalistic keyboard, and that someone who's going to use a keyboard like this, the lowest they might go. What's that that Rust keyboard called? Oh, I'll just search for Rust keyboard, 34 keys. I forgot the name of it. Okay, well, that's apparently not going to find it. That one. What was it called? I don't remember what this is called, but anyway, this keyboard, where's a picture of it? So it's basically my keyboard, but with one thumb key fewer than what I have. And like, this is probably the smallest I'd ever go. But a lot of people will draw the line with more keys than that. Are you thinking of a... Oh, I can't copy paste that. Or I can't click that because of the one key keyboard. What's my monitor setup? I just did a video on... Actually, yeah, you could take a look at it. Let me link the video in. Hang on, I gotta find it. Technically, what you'll want to watch is this video. That doesn't come out till tomorrow. But this video shows a picture of my setup. And I will show it here so you don't need to pull it up. There. This is my room setup that I have. So 2 monitors laid out like this. And yeah, everything else. No, no, no. What? Oh, made them pull the video. Okay. I'm like, what did I just do? Oh, now it's broken. Okay, well, I'm glad we tested this. I wonder what broke this. Huh, that's strange. Why did it work through here? You only do game dev? I pretty much only do game dev, yeah. What's the diagonal? Do you prefer a double monitor over ultra wide for coding? So I prefer 2 monitors for streaming. I think it's almost necessary. So at this point, yeah, I prefer it for coding, but I haven't ever tried an ultra wide monitor. The problem with streaming from an ultra wide monitor is I think it would mess up the experience for viewers, but I don't actually know what it's like. Oh, thanks, Mitch. Thanks for gifting us up. Weirdly, look at this. Look at how Twitch formatted this. There's no space between the exclamation mark and the they've. Strange. But yeah, the diagonal, I think the size, it's all in the specs spreadsheet there. It's terrible for streaming because of the resolution. Yeah, you'd probably need some like custom setup where you take a portion of your stream and render that in a certain way. But yeah, I'd like to try an ultra wide monitor at some point. Okay, so I've thoroughly broken everything. Yeah. Now nothing is rendering. And I don't know why. And I'm glad I tested this, but what am I supposed to do here? Huh. I don't see what the problem is. What if I set this to 500? I'm not expecting this to just work, but something here should cause this to work. Okay, there it is. So the scroll container didn't have a minimum size. I mean, if we set this to a number like 200, it's just going to look stupid, right? Yeah, it is. Although let's try this again and see if it at least gets centered. No, it doesn't. Oh boy, what am I doing? Oh, there we go. Well, that was easy. Okay, so now let me try this again. Let's just restart everything. Just close out of this, close out of this. Don't do ultra wide. Well, like I said, I think it'd be hard for streaming, but also, I just want to give it a shot and see what it's like. I think there are two main things that I want to see how it works for: game dev and gaming. Because yeah, I play an FPS and I've never tried with an ultra wide monitor, but like, would it help me? Would it make me better? For game dev, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it'd be like. Just never tried it. This just jump. Oh wait, no, never mind. That was weird. It like jumped from one size to another. But I think this is looking fine. And then if we shrink it in the other direction, it should scroll. Yeah. Okay, I'm happy with this. Oh, but now I can't click the background? Oh, God, nothing's easy. Yeah, you can only click the background up here. I need, I think, this to not consume mouse input. And now I think you can click the background. No, you still can't. No. Oh, wait, because I didn't start it through Godot. Oh, okay. I think now it's fixed. Yeah, nice. Nice. Okay, so let's check that in. This was harder than I thought. Okay, so bug. I was fighting the ugly slime and the rogue died while cloaked, but they didn't play the death animation. Not sure if this repros 100% of the time. Oh, man. It's going to be annoying. All right, so how do we test this? We need the rogue to die in one hit. So we can just give them basically no life. Life values. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give them no life. They have 1 HP. And then we put them in a battle against a bat and hope that they cloak. Straight up cheating. Yeah, some games have that issue. Other games, it's not a big deal if you can see more. All right, so we're going to start a new game here. So if I just put the mage, or sorry, the rogue into a battle, they should always lose, right? Because they have 1 HP. Yeah. Okay, so what I need to do is put both of these into a battle and have the rogue die while cloaked. I won. I guess I need to make bats have more life. Forest bat. You now have infinite life. Should probably save that. Save. Okay, send them both into battle. No, you can't kill them first. You need to kill them second. Hit the mage. It's a 50% chance. I could just... Oh my god. Seriously, it's a coin flip that I've lost 3 times in a row. There we go. Now I need to win the coin flip. Okay, there. Yes, exactly that. So that's the problem that's happening. So this is a problem no matter what. Simplest repro is set rogue life to 1 in the code. Send rogue and mage into forest battle. Set forest bat life to a whole bunch. Have mage get hit first. Have rogue get hit second. Yeah. All right, so you're just stuck in this animation. I'm guessing there's no error in the console. Yeah, so I think what's happening is we have some special code for when we interrupt animations. Unless it's a looping one or the death one. So if it's not looping, then return. And what, the cloaking one isn't looping? The rogue has something special going on, right? Cloak of Shadows. I think this only affects the rogue, probably. Where do we play an animation here? Play. It's not in here. What? Where does this happen? Cloak of Shadows buff? Set animation. Here it is. All right, what is that animation? Loop is true. All right, well, let's just do that at the beginning of the battle, I guess. So have this take only 1 second, and then change basic attack so that it targets the enemy with the lowest life, or just targets them both. Yeah, in fact, that's what we could do. We could... All right, I'm going to make the repro a lot easier, but I'm going to like thoroughly break the game to do this. So let's go get the mage infinite life. And let's give the bat the fire barrage skill, which will make them shoot a fireball at everybody, which will kill the rogue. There we go. Fun. So now I think we're guaranteed to see this happen as soon as we start a battle. Well, as soon as the bat attacks, which actually I just realized probably takes like 5 seconds. What does Fire Barrage take to use? 9.3 seconds? Not anymore. 1.5 seconds. So Rogue cloaks at 1 second. Bat shoots a fireball at 1.5. Fireball makes contact at whatever, 2 seconds or something. And then we see the repro. So this will let us figure out what's going wrong, I hope. Oh, well, that was weird. They played the death animation. Why did that happen? Oh, maybe because stealth had to finish first. So we need to change the cooldown of this. Huh. Oh, God. Elemental Magics, let me just say you are off to a very bad start in this stream. I welcome your hello. I do not welcome your second message. All right, so I wonder if they just need to finish their animation here. In order to test this, there are a couple of things we could potentially do, but I think something changes the cooldown of abilities. What's wrong with my message? I'm... All right, let me try to fully communicate this. I'll try to be nice about this. It's incredibly unusual, and given that your name is very likely the name of a game that you're working on, I just immediately not put at ease. Anyway, it conjures up an image in my head of someone who is like very young, who's working on a game and who's joining streams to, I don't know, get some attention, pretty much. Might not be true, might be wrong on all those counts. It's just, I've streamed for a while, and like I said, it's just not a, it's probably that this stream is not a good fit for the two of us. That's all. Okay, so yeah, how do I change this? Let's go to cooldown. Force set cooldown. We can set the time elapsed to a longer time. Okay. I think we can do this. And I want to get this for the current ability. So as soon as we've done... Let me stop the game. So I use a 27-inch 4K monitor as my main monitor, and I have the ultra wide to the left or for random stuff. Yeah, I think the monitor stuff is all, it's physical positioning on a desk. So whether you have like 10 monitors or whether you have one very large monitor, a window can still occupy the same physical space, and then it becomes a matter of what are the ergonomics of using that space, both for turning your head and for the keyboard shortcuts you might use to manage windows. I'm 35 and the CEO of a software company. Okay, so the young part is wrong. Yeah. Look, I still think what I said about that, it's probably not a good fit for this stream is probably true. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I've probably already put you off by all the things I've said. So I imagine that alone is going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. All right. So yeah, changing this. I wanted to do this on Cloak of Shadows buff, apparently. Do we add this every time? We do. So this adds the buff, and then we set the cooldown on this thing. Okay. And it's probably pretty reasonable. And I want to get this on this ability. Force set cooldown to just 999. All right, let's try that out. All right. Continue. So let's try this. Whoa. Okay. That like super crashed everything. I've actually... Oh, you know what might be happening? I think I inverted how cooldown works. Yeah, I did. I want to set this to a number that is less than, so like negative 999. There we go. Neck hurts from just little movements. Yeah, I think, like I said, sort of regardless of whether I were coding or not, as a streamer, I think I'd want to use 2 monitors no matter what, even if I were just playing games. And for that, I like, you see me turning my head when I read chat. I do have to physically move for that. There's probably a way for me to arrange the monitors on my desk so I'm not doing that. I just want this to repro. It still hasn't. Something is off about this. It's like more time needs to transpire between these two things. Like if I increase this to 2.5, let's say. I wonder if it'll repro now. Did you stretch it so far it became a wristband? Hey, give an hour. I actually am probably going to need a new ring at some point. They usually last about 2 years and then they break. And I don't have any other fun colors. I just have boring colors. All right, come on. Get this to work. It's still not happening. What caused this to happen in the first place? Because whatever I had is the original cooldowns for these things. This was set to 5, and the bat was set to use its ability at a random amount of time between 2.4 and 2.6. Okay, so it's a tinier amount of time that I need that, not a larger amount of time. So Fire Barrage should be set to whatever Cloak of Shadows is, plus like hardly anything. Fire Barrage. In fact, it should probably be the exact same because it's the fireball that kills you. Just started 3D printing rings. Is it an inflexible material that you're using? Because I guess it could still potentially be comfortable, but this is very soft. Like I can squish this ring. It's silicone. So like if I pulled it hard enough, I just snap it. Yeah, PLA is okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's try this again. It's still not messing up. I wonder if it has to do with Fireball versus something else. Or maybe it is just a timing thing and this needs to be like 0.8. I'm going to go with the timing thing. Neochromer. I do appreciate the messages, but you know what I'm going to say because I've said it a million times. Anyway, that is cool. Can you share pictures on Discord? What is that? Do you use a plastic wedding ring? I do. I lost my first one. The ring I have is silicone. And I just got a pack of 6 off of Amazon. And I've worn through the color that I liked best. And then I started wearing this red one and I liked it a lot. Now I want to get a purple one, but I don't have a purple one. I'm going to figure out what repros this thing. It's still not that. What caused this? Or maybe it is this and it's just a timing thing and I just need to find the exact timing, and then this coincidentally happened on like the first try that I got it to work, which is weird because the cooldowns of these enemies are randomized with like a plus or minus, I don't know, 5%. So how is it it just coincidentally worked? It's still not happening. What am I missing? I assume that this was something with the animations. It's gotta be. It's gotta be the animation is still playing out. But it can't be that fast. Or something's different between basic attack and fireball. This calls deal damage. Oh, this is happening too. Create slash. Let's put that on fire barrage because maybe that has an impact somehow. On projectile hit. Yeah, let's do that. Wow, I'd be pretty surprised if it were because of the slash graphic. Huh. I wonder how that could be happening. So now the fireball is going to create a little red slash on the enemy. Or, well, on that adventurer. No, it's not that. Still have to imagine this is some kind of timing thing. But I don't know how I could have messed this up. There's no other difference here. Just deal damage and play a sound. What am I trying to figure out? There's a bug that can happen where the rogue is dead, but they get stuck in their cloak animation. And I think it's only the rogue that can have this happen. Maybe? No, I don't know. All right, let's try it. Let's go in the opposite direction here. Let's set this to 3 seconds. I already did something like this. Man. I just want to get a repro that happens every time so I can actually look into this and find out what's going wrong. I don't even know what the fix would be at this point because I'm not sure what's going wrong. I assumed it was that I'm trying to cut off an animation before it's done. But this is a looping animation, so it actually shouldn't be that as an issue. So there's stealth. Let me just play their death animation. Maybe it's when they're coming out of stealth? That wouldn't make sense. Well, I guess we technically had a repro. So all right, then let's cut this stuff out. Instead of doing this and this and this. So this back to basic attack. And then how about we just make basic attack target everything? So I guess it's like fire barrage in that case. Get enemy targets. Targets that count as 0. Great, great, great. So do this, and then for each node target in targets, do all the stuff we used to do. I don't even need a fireball sound. We can just get rid of the sounds. Oh wait, I'm modifying fire barrage. I'm being an idiot right now. All right, just cut out of that. Yeah, it doesn't matter. No one's even using fire barrage, but basic attack should change. And basic attack should probably also be changed to always be 2.5 so that this is not random. And then we do this. Cool. There. Can you go back to basic attack? Yeah, I'm going to start using basic attack instead. You try to cloak as it died, or perhaps a frame after it died. So it's very likely a race condition here, and I can't tell which order it was supposed to be in. So I'm going to set the timings of these to always be the same now, instead of having some randomness. And then we'll tweak it by like 1/10 of a second, maybe. Okay, so that was too fast. So we need to slow this down slightly. Let's slow it down by barely any. It's got to be at least a frame passing in between these things. All gonna repro this issue. Okay, still isn't happening. Just keep tweaking this. We have to pick a number between 2.5 and 2.6. So I know there's technically infinite search space there, but not really. Because there are only so many discrete frames that happen in between. So it's got to happen at some point in this. Let's set it to 2.6. Are the ones of dying and cloaking the same? Perhaps you could see which index the stuck frame was at. I'm still not totally sure what's going wrong. So yeah, I'm just trying to get the repro to be consistent here, and then we can look into it a little bit more. And I think we're almost there. Like I said, I don't think there are that many values we can even test here. For whatever reason, though, it's making a fool out of me. Maybe I'm changing the repro by doing something here. I'd have to figure out what. Because in that particular picture that I took, the rogue is on the bottom. But I don't think that matters. Yeah, their position in battle shouldn't have anything to do with this. But if I want them to be on the bottom, I guess I click their picture first. It's still not happening. All right, well, I've tried. What else has changed here? All I did is change basic attacks timing, and now targets everybody. And then the life values, which was already the case earlier. So it's just a matter of figuring out which timing this should be. And it was the second attack. So it had to be greater than 2.5. But it has to be less than 2.6. So it's somewhere in here. I wonder if this comes down to like the exact frame somehow. But if it were that case, then we got incredibly lucky. And I sort of refuse to believe that we got that lucky. Has happened on my stream? Yeah, it happened in the stream. Yeah. And no, I don't think it's helpful to check the VOD necessarily. Like I said, I'm just going to try to find a repro for this. And then if I can, I'll be able to dig into this further. And once I do have a repro, it should happen every time. Maybe it is the frame that we start this thing. Okay, let's try this a different way. Because the second attack means like 4x timing. Since 2 seconds, then 2 seconds more. Oh, 4.x timing. Yes, exactly. But what I'm considering here is the original thing that I tested was I only changed life values. So the rogue had 1 life, which meant that Cloak of Shadows happened after 5 seconds, and the second bat attack happened somewhere between 4.8 to 5.2 seconds. But since Cloak of Shadows had to have happened, it had to be in the 5 to 5.2 second territory. So we're randomizing between this range. So that means we need to instead just focus on the higher end of that range. And I did not easily find a number for this. I recommend against designing your logic around when events happen to occur. Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, there's a race condition causing this bug, and we need to figure out why that happened. It's not like I intentionally designed it to work this way, or else we wouldn't have the bug. But this is a bit tricky because I have not been able to reproduce this except for when the time is randomized. And hang on, okay, I guess I will look at the VOD because I want to make sure only 1 attack happened on the mage. It's going to be a little hard to find where the... Oh, no, actually it would be shortly after this because I just then modified the... Yeah, there, having right there. Okay, so we just go back by 10 seconds and slow this down a bit. And it should be the second attack, if I'm not mistaken. So we go into a battle. No, it was... Oh, wait. I started a new fight after that. Oh, maybe that has to do with it. Maybe it's repeating a fight. Yeah, I did 3 battles and it didn't work. And then the 4th battle it did. It hit the mage and then it hit the rogue. And you can actually see the exact timing of that. Stealth happened, and before stealth had a chance to fade... Oh, wait, no, other way around. Oh, it's the exact same frame? Oh, okay. I said I didn't think it would come down to the exact frame, but I guess it does. All right. Well, that explains it then. So I guess they're using stealth after they're dead. That shouldn't be possible. Because the only way that we even use abilities here is, yeah, we check can update abilities, and can update checks to make sure you're not dead. So it must be that the rogue cloaked and then immediately died. Okay, so I think I know how we can test this. I think what we could do is we could just have the rogue die when they cloak. Yeah, undead behavior, except for when it's an adventurer who matters. Your adventurer died to a snake. These adventurers died to like their 20th bat. Okay, so Cloak of Shadows. Let's just go have this thing kill the adventurer that uses it. I think. I don't think there's anything else we need to do. Battle dot deal damage to entity. Wait, how does this work? Source target damage info. Damage info is going to be 1,000 damage. And what is this? Single target. Sure. Okay. Now we just change basic attack to do nothing. So go to cloak die. Yeah. I think it's just they had to cloak first. I don't think they'd be able to cloak second, because I don't think is entity dead is returning a problem. And we need a second adventurer to be in battle, so we still need to send both of these in. But now I think it's going to repro. Yeah, nice. That did it. Hang on one sec. Abby's meowing outside. Okay, cool. So we have a repro for this. I wonder if this could happen with any ability. So the easiest way to repro this is to delete all of this. And instead, where'd that go? Just copy this. Set rogue to 1 life, set force bet to that, do that, yep. And then add this code to Cloak of Shadows. Cool. Come on, Abby. Good cat. Hi. Want to come sit down? Nope. Watch your tail. Okay, good cat. Hi, Abby. Yes, who's the bestest cat? You are. Yes, you are. Okay, so now we got to figure out why this is happening, though. So deal damage calls this, which calls on died, which goes into battler on death handle. Okay, so they have a death animation, then set that as the animation. Make sure there's no animation finish handler that'll change the death animation to something else. So Cloak of Shadows buff is still on the enemy, right? Or on the character? Removed from entity? I don't know if this is getting hit. So let's put some breakpoints around here and try to find out some more about this. Where's the health component thing that I just found? That was in battler, I think. Well, I guess we'll just go battle system. 2 weeks to rework one of our uglier games. Lurk mode enabled. All right, best of luck. It's quite the timeline. All right, on died. We go into this. We go into battler. We do this. Put a breakpoint here. Okay, and now we just start that again, right? So Cloak of Shadows got removed at the beginning. That's fine. Okay, so death happens, and we go into this, and we try setting the animation. We don't try, we just do. And we get this and remove the animation finished listener. It feels like this part is not actually setting us into the death animation. And it's still playing, I think it's playing the animation. I'll need to look at that. And then, yeah, we never remove Cloak of Shadows. So yes, it is animated in here. And this line seemingly did nothing. Strange. I wonder if something else is overriding it then afterward. Cloak of Shadows. Oh, wait. I think I know what's going on. Yeah, we delay adding effects by 1 turn. Yeah, okay. I think I know the fix for this stuff too. So here, added to entity, we need to check to see if they're dead. So if health component dot is entity dead, affected entity return. Okay, so if this fixes it, then I know what's going on, and now I need to figure out if this is the most robust solution for this. I'm gonna give Raimi a point for this because I feel like he got me to look at the VOD again, and that drastically sped things up. So it was a timing thing, and I just probably never would have found the timing because it's gotta be on the same frame. And yeah, the odds of that happening are so slim. So does this just work now? Yeah, I fixed it. Wow, easy. Okay, so technically, technically anything where we do that pattern now needs to change. So where did Cloak of Shadows buff go? Cloak buff. Set animation for entity. Yeah, so here, we should just not do this if you're dead. No, that wouldn't work though. Yeah, that wouldn't work because there are some animations that are revive animations, and you have to play the revive animation when you're dead. So I wonder if we should just do it this way and have anything that's going to, any effect, this is an effect, right? Yeah. Any effects that are going to modify a sprite when added, that they check to see if you're dead already. Alternatively, we remove the effect when you die. In fact, that's probably just what this Boolean does here. Okay, so what if we got rid of that? We try this out again. Why did I want cloaking to persist through death? That doesn't make any sense. You can't get revived, so it doesn't even matter. But yeah. All right, well, this has been exciting. So what are we looking at now? Okay, that did not fix it. Strangely, it didn't play the animation though either. Huh. Okay, let's see where this gets used. Because somewhere I must remove this, right? Was it the friend? I wanted to do something and it didn't work. And the friend had already suggested an easier method that I acknowledged was easier. And I was like, no, I'm doing it this way. Well, in this particular case, I didn't want you to go through the effort of looking through the VOD because I thought it won't necessarily provide new information. And I didn't want to make you do that work if it didn't. So it was kind of 2 layers. One is I didn't think it'd be effective, and 2 is if it wasn't going to be effective, I didn't want you to waste your time. Yeah, it didn't darken the rogue, so I didn't put them into their cloak animation. I need to figure out where this is used. Whoa, look at that. I don't think I've seen that button before. Search with AI. Huh, interesting. All right, so where do we check this? Should be an if statement here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Remove effects that do not persist through death. So that's pretty straightforward. But where does this get called? Did I remove dead battle? Okay, so this is already too late when this happens. Yeah. Okay, so then we just need to be careful about this stuff because you'd be setting the animation of a dead entity. I mean, we could pass in another thing here that checks to see if they're dead. Yeah. All right, so this being true or false doesn't really matter. I actually think it should probably be false because we're not going to change the animation when they come back to life if they ever could, which they can't right now. This is one solution that we could do for this. I don't know how widespread this problem is, so let's go figure out how widespread this is. There shouldn't be too many places where this happens, right? It's got to be an effect and not an ability. So first of all, we could just get rid of everything that's in abilities active, right? There. Oh, so it's literally this one place in the code. Oh boy. Okay. Wow. Well. Yeah, so this is probably the best fix then. Effects are added on the frame after an ability is used. So it's possible that... Wait a second. Yeah. Exactly, right. So it's possible that you died in between using the ability and receiving the effect. In that case, we don't want to change away from the death animation. So technically, this could happen in any battle that the rogue was in with another party member. And I think it could only have ever happened with a rogue because of this. Because we don't set the animation anywhere else. Like, the only place we do this is here. Unless we fetch this and then call... Is there a public function to set the animation? No, it's just this. And it's static. We could technically set the animation some other way by just setting animation equals. So if I search for this, but there are very few places where that exists. Walk animation does not affect battle. This we just looked for. Battler has 2 of these. This is set when they're revived. Which reviving doesn't come into play here. And on death, death does come into play, but it was something being set after that. This one's being called from fish. It's not a fish. This is a shopkeep, which is not a shopkeep. It's not a crop. So yeah, it's none of those. So I don't think any other adventurer could have this problem happen. Let me look one more time and make sure I'm not going nuts here. Every single time we called this was from an ability, right? Could an ability have this problem? I think it technically could. Because of Thorn's damage. I gotta think about that. Set animation for entity. Is this a looping one or the death one? Wait, shouldn't death override whatever they're doing? Yeah, I think there might be another little problem here. But I think what would have to happen is we'd have to set the animation after dealing damage. Yeah. I think I know how I want to change this. I think I just want to prevent animations from being allowed while you're dead unless it's a revive animation. Because there is no other case we have. Am I petting an animal? Yes, sorry. She's like off camera right now, but you can see there's a cat on my lap. And hey, hot chocolate lava cake. She's very soft. It's quite relaxing to pet her. Okay, well, let me see if this is a problem somewhere else, like here. We do this before creating a projectile. But wait, couldn't this be a problem if another projectile hit and you died on the same frame? Yeah, I think we should change this. I think we should change all these calls. Say something like bool. They're not even a boolean. If you're dead, just don't allow something else. So if the entity is dead, only the revive animation is allowed. That way we don't run into race conditions where something like Cloak of Shadows is triggered on the frame that the rogue dies and causes, and I guess supersedes the death animation. All right, so if is in death animation, and animation name is not the revive one that just returned. And revive is apparently not what this is called. No, it is what it's called. What is the problem here? Inaccessible? Huh. Okay. Well, now it's accessible. All right. So for this to do anything, the entity can't already be in an animation unless it's a looping one. If they're in a non-looping animation, only allow for death to interrupt it. So if it's not a looping animation and the animation is not equal to death. All right. So I think now we get rid of the Cloak of Shadows change that I just did. This can be gone. And now there should be no problem anywhere, if I'm not mistaken. So in order to test this, let's try the original repro that we had. But then let's also try something like the Phoenix battle and make sure they can revive themselves from death. So I'm going to enter the fight. Oh, what happened to my... Did I click new? Yeah, I did. Okay. So they're going to die immediately. Perfect. Great. Okay, now let's try the Phoenix battle. So I'm going to grant everything, and I'm going to go into the Phoenix fight, and we're going to give... We're going to make my characters invincible. All right, so what's going to happen here is one of these is going to die faster than the other ones. Let's speed this up a bit. And then they should revive themselves totally fine. So there's their death animation. Now they should revive themselves. That did not work. Hey, typical employee. You changed your name. All right, so why didn't that work? So if they're in a non-looping animation, is the death animation considered looping? Death animation. Set loop false. Okay, so it's not looping. If they're in the death animation and we're not reviving them. I wonder if the Phoenix is not called revive for that, because that would make sense. Wasn't there embers on the corpse? I'm not totally sure, but it was not showing their graphic once they were supposed to be revived. I'll take a look at it again in a second, but I think what's going on here is the Phoenixes, they're supposed to revive, but they probably don't use the right animation for that. Revive battler. Where do we play their animation? No, revive. No, wait. Yeah, what? Oh, battlers to revive. This plays the animation, right? Add set. Strange. Oh, here it is. If it has revive, play revive. Yeah. Set animation. Yeah, that's set correctly. Strange. Let me make sure it has it. We don't even technically need to do this. Otherwise, we put them in the default animation directly. That's gonna break, isn't it? What else can even be revived? I guess Mushy can. Okay, so Mushy's probably gonna break. Okay, this is a problem. It's got to be the default animation name. Or the default one for Mushy. All right. I'm not super happy with this. I'm also not happy with the new bug I created here. If they're not in a looping one and the animation isn't death. Oh, I see. Because it's supposed to be revive. Okay, so we just need an else here. Well, not quite. Okay. There we go. So they're dead. Check the death things. If they're not dead, then check to see if it's a looping one. Okay. I think that'll fix pretty much everything. We got to try it all out now, though. I don't like how this has played out. As long as it didn't autosave, I should just have the 2 characters now, right? Yeah. Although I guess it's not that hard to set that up if I didn't. No, it's still broken. Oh, man. If they're in a non-looping animation. They're in a looping animation, though. I guess the death animation should always be allowed. What do we have here before? Battle animated sprite component? Huh. Strange. I don't see how this would have allowed for death in the first place here. We tried calling this with an entity and with death as the animation name. We would make sure they have it. That would not return from there. We check if they're in a looping one. They would be. Oh, so if they're not in a looping one, return. Oh, I think I'm doing this stupidly. Yeah, I am doing this stupidly. What are even looping animations that we have? I guess cloaking? The default one. Huh. Loop is here, right? Yeah. And we end up setting this on the animation. Very interesting. Okay. Cat is looking awfully adorable here, by the way. I know what's happening here, by the way. It is a meta property of programming, which is I need to take a break. And that's what this is indicating. Like, clearly I'm not thinking straight. And also, it's almost lunchtime. So let me look over this one more time. And then if we don't get it on the next try, I'm going to take a break and look at it in a bit. So we're in the, like, also this is pointing to needing a state machine for this stuff. Like, we should just have a, oh, you're in the death animation thing, so handle it like this. So what did we want to have happen? If you're in a non-looping animation, then prevent it from working. Wouldn't that mean we'd prevent the death animation from working in some places? Huh. All right, so put these things up here. If you're in a looping animation, so what scenario did I even want here? For you to not interrupt this by starting another animation again. I'm not sure whatever happened in the old version of the game when you used Cloak of Shadows while already in Cloak of Shadows. We probably checked to see if you were in that animation already, maybe? Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe setting it to an animation you're already in doesn't do anything from a Godot perspective. Shouldn't anything interrupt a looping animation? Fine. I'm going to pretty much have the same code I had before. All right, let's try this out. I'm going to write down the scenarios I want to test for this stuff, though. Test out Phoenix revive, Mushy revive, zombies, dying, and rogue cloaking while already cloaked. Okie dokie. It's broken. Okay, well, like I said, that means I should just take a break. I'll think about this in a bit. Let's fill out the old journal. I do think today was pretty good overall. In fact, if I push this, we can go take a look at what I've modified today. Whoops, over here. Whoops. Let's go back to the right link. There we go. Commits. Yeah, so I think this is some decent stuff. Yeah. A lot of these are just going to be perceived as little quality of life improvements. I mean, they are. Something like adding the 5th music track. People aren't going to be like, oh, awesome, that's great. It's going to be like, oh, yeah, the game has more music now. They probably won't even notice. First day back to streaming after a marketing break. I just handled some of the backlog and it went relatively well. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. So this is done. This is done. I want to push this over to here now. So tomorrow, I'm uncertain what I want the stream schedule to be. I am planning on streaming probably at least in the morning. And maybe it'll just be in the morning. I might just do morning streams from here until launch. I'm not totally sure. We have 54 days until launch. So it's not a lot of time. And development tasks are not even necessarily the most important things. Like, let's say I never fixed this bug and people did witness it. They're like, oh my God, the rogue is dead, but they're in the cloaking animation. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't happen often. And people probably aren't even going to be paying very close attention to it. It'd be nice to fix it, but it's not like the game is crashing and 50% of the players are experiencing it. So even these sorts of things are not as important as just making sure that more people see the game. But we have enough time where I'm going to focus on a little bit of each category. Something I do need to get to at some point, and maybe this is why I shouldn't stream tomorrow afternoon, is controller support on Linux. There's still an issue with the virtual cursor being the actual OS cursor and not moving correctly. But yeah, I think that's it for today. So, well, let's go raid Kit. I was just chatting with him. Is he streaming with someone else right now? No, he's not. Okay. Oh, well, thank you all for being here. It was a very nice welcome back. If you'd like to join Discord, there's a link to it. I'll be back tomorrow, but probably again just for the morning. And yeah, we'll figure this stuff out. Bye, everybody.